Welcome to Novel Love Hearing. We bring you hundreds of novel audiobooks covering every genre and every kind of story you can imagine. Action? We've got it. Adventure? Absolutely. Horror? Of course. Whether it's the legendary Uchiha massacre or outrageous tales like stealing Naruto's and Sasuke's women, you'll find it here. From epic series like One Piece, Bleach, Fairy Tail, and Hunter x Hunter, to countless other adventures, our library has it all. Love novels but don't have time to read? No worries, just plug in your earbuds, sit back, and let the story take over. Good listening, and happy hearing. The last time they met, Nawaki was planning to start a business and become a boss. Hearing Shin's question, Nawaki's expression turned awkward. He scratched his head and said glumly. Went bankrupt. Lost everything. After painstakingly earning a large sum of money on the black market, Nawaki had planned to settle down and run a small business. However, Nawaki had no business acumen. In the end, he lost all the money he'd earned. Then he ran into Hisashi, who invited him to Hidden Mist Village. Learning about Nawaki's situation, Shin gave him a sympathetic look. A ninja trying to run a business? It'd be strange if you didn't lose money. Shin didn't know what Nawaki had been thinking. Back then, Shin had already thought Nawaki's business venture was unreliable and even tried to dissuade him. But Nawaki, filled with inexplicable confidence at the time, had firmly believed he could make money. Now, he was gloriously bankrupt. So what are your plans now? Shin asked Nawaki. I'll stay in Hidden Mist Village for a while. Nawaki didn't have any specific plans at the moment. As for taking bounties on the black market again? Nawaki didn't want to go back to that life. For now, he'd stick with his old teammate and figure things out later. Hisashi Hyuga was Nawaki's former teammate. Back then, Nawaki's team consisted of Hisashi Hyuga and Kai Uzumaki. Interestingly, aside from the deceased Kai Uzumaki, everyone else from his team, including their Jonin leader Orochimaru, had become Hidden Leaf Village Missing Ninja. Well, Hisashi Hyuga had probably shed the Missing Ninja title now, having joined Hidden Mist Village. But in the eyes of Hidden Leaf Village, Hisashi was likely still considered a traitor. Not long after, Hisashi Hyuga returned. Having been away for half a month, Hisashi immediately rushed back from the Mizukage Tower upon hearing Shin had arrived. Shin, why did you come? Is something wrong? Hisashi asked Shin. I brought Hinata back for a family visit. Shin replied, patting Hinata's back. Father. Hinata looked at Hisashi. Hisashi looked back at Hinata. Compared to their last meeting, Hinata had changed significantly, especially her eyes. Yes, Hinata's eyes had finally evolved into the Tensei again. Hisashi could feel a palpable pressure emanating from her eyes. Hisashi nodded at Hinata. Though father and daughter hadn't seen each other in a long time, they didn't exchange many words. Hisashi wasn't a talkative person, and neither was Hinata. Coupled with the unfamiliarity from their long separation, the atmosphere suddenly became awkward. Nawaki, I need to ask you a favor. Perhaps sensing the awkwardness, Hisashi broke the silence, turning his gaze towards Nawaki. Ask me a favor? Nawaki pointed at himself in surprise. Yes. Don't worry, the reward will be substantial. I won't treat you unfairly. Hisashi said to Nawaki. In fact, Hisashi even wanted to recruit Nawaki into Hidden Mist Village. After all, Nawaki was an incredibly strong fighter. What is it? Hearing the promise of a substantial reward, Nawaki rubbed his hands together, a grin spreading across his face. You, so creepy. Hanabi shuddered, looking at Nawaki's sudden grin with disgust. Hanabi, don't be rude. Apologize quickly. Hisashi scolded Hanabi sternly. Oh. Sorry. Hanabi lowered her head. She was quite afraid of her father. Nawaki rubbed his nose. Being called creepy by a little girl. Nawaki felt his heart sink, though he wasn't actually angry. Honestly, you did look a bit creepy just now. Pay attention to your image in the future, or you'll embarrass your sister too. Shin said, patting Nawaki's shoulder. If Hanabi hadn't pointed it out, Shin would have. My sister? How is she doing? She hasn't even visited me. Has she forgotten about her little brother? Nawaki grumbled. Had his sister Tsunade really forgotten about him? Thinking about her personality, it seemed quite possible. She probably forgot about you. Shin said with a smile. Can you let me finish first? Hisashi interrupted, seeing the topic straying. He then shot a glare at his daughter Hanabi. It was all her fault for derailing the conversation. Oh, go ahead. Nawaki looked at Hisashi. This was a potential money-making opportunity. Nawaki certainly wouldn't let it slip away. Hidden Leaf Village sent an invitation. The third Hokage invited Hidden Mist Village to participate in the upcoming Chunin exams. After consideration, I decided to accept. I want you, Nawaki, to help lead the team. Hayashi didn't know Hiruzen Saratobi's motive for sending the invitation, but he also wanted to showcase Hidden Mist Village's strength, so he hadn't refused. This. Nawaki frowned. Honestly, he wasn't keen on going to Hidden Leaf Village. And he was still technically a Hidden Leaf Village missing ninja. Let's talk about the reward first. In the end, Nawaki still wanted to know about the compensation. If the reward was suitable, Nawaki felt a trip to Hidden Leaf Village wasn't entirely out of the question. During the Chunin exams, even if he entered Hidden Leaf Village, the danger wouldn't be too great. Besides, Nawaki was confident in his own strength. Regarding the reward, Hayashi certainly wouldn't disappoint Nawaki. He offered a price Nawaki couldn't refuse, and Nawaki immediately agreed. Nawaki wouldn't be leading the team alone, Hayashi Hyuga would also accompany him. If Hayashi wasn't tied down by his duties, he would have wanted to go to Hidden Leaf Village himself. Chapter 336, Hayashi Hyuga, both my daughters have been kidnapped. Shin stroked his chin, deep in thought. Hiruzen Saratobi inviting Hidden Mist Village to the Chunin exams. Honestly, Shin was surprised. What's Hiruzen's motive? To assess Hidden Mist Village's strength? Perhaps. Shin didn't bother speculating further. He had decided to go too. I'll be going to Hidden Leaf Village this time as well, Shin announced. His words stunned Hayashi Hyuga and Nawaki. Hayashi was pleasantly surprised, while Nawaki was simply shocked. Hayashi was thrilled because Shin's presence guaranteed the safety of the Hidden Mist Village ninja he sent. Nawaki was just surprised Shin was going. Shin-sama, if you're going, can I come too? I don't know if I can. Karen looked at Shin expectantly. Shin nodded gently, then turned to Hayashi. Give Karen and Hinata Hidden Mist Village ninja status. Let them participate in the Chunin exams. Hayashi hesitated, a worried look flashing across his eyes. He was concerned about his daughter, Hinata. Participating in the Chunin exams wasn't without risk. If something happened, there would be no recourse. Alright. Ultimately, Hayashi agreed. Since Shin suggested it, it probably meant things would be fine. Shin seemed fond of Hinata, he wouldn't let her come to harm. With Shin Uzumaki watching over her, Hayashi could rest assured. Father, I want to go too. Can I? Hanabi couldn't help but ask Hayashi. Staying cooped up in the clan compound was boring. Hanabi had wanted to go out for a long time but never had the chance due to being constantly watched. No. Hayashi refused without hesitation. Don't cause trouble. Go train. Hanabi's face fell. She grabbed Shin's clothes, tugging at them and looking up imploringly. Hayashi, just let Hanabi come with me. Shin crouched down, pinched Hanabi's cheek, and addressed Hayashi. Hayashi pondered for a moment, then finally agreed. He couldn't really refuse Shin's request. Thank you, Shin. You're the best. Hanabi cheered, hugging Shin's neck and planting a kiss on his cheek. That little brat. So annoying. Karen watched Hanabi kiss Shin, feeling surprisingly jealous. She never thought she'd be envious of a little girl. She calls you big brother? Nawaki's face turned green. Remembering Hanabi calling him uncle, he suddenly felt tears swelling up. What's wrong with you? Having an episode? Shin looked at the suddenly tearful Nawaki, slightly speechless. Why does she call you big brother but call me uncle? Nawaki felt wronged. It wasn't wrong for Hanabi to call him uncle, he was that age. But Shin was the same age, yet he was called big brother. Nawaki felt completely unbalanced. The problem? I'd say it's because you look too old. Shin said, looking Nawaki over and nodding to himself. He did look rather weathered. Though only in his 30s, he looked like he was in his 40s. Shin thought Hanabi not calling Nawaki grandpa was already generous. Why do you still look like you're 20? Nawaki asked Shin. Even though he usually didn't care about his appearance, he couldn't help feeling a bit frustrated now. Can't help it. People are different. Shin said with a shrug and a smile. When are we heading to Hidden Leaf Village? Shin asked Hayashi. The Chunin exams aren't for another half month, so there's no rush. Oh, in that case, I'll head back first. Nawaki, want to come with me to see Tsunade? Shin asked Nawaki before leaving. Nawaki shook his head vigorously, like a rattling drum. Forget it. I'm kind of afraid to see my sister. Who knows if she'll chew me out or something. I'd rather not go. I want to go. Hanabi jumped onto Shin, wrapping her arms around his neck. Seeing his daughter's unruly behavior, Hayashi felt quite displeased. Has she completely forgotten the etiquette I taught her? Alright, I'll take you to the land of whirlpools for a visit. Hayashi, who was about to reprimand Hanabi, held his tongue upon hearing Shin's words. Goodbye, Hayashi, Nawaki. I'm leaving. Big brother, Shin Uzumaki took both your daughters. Hayashi Hyuga walked over just as Shin left with Hinata and Hanabi. Hayashi nodded, his face expressionless. Seeing his brother's impassive look, Hisashi decided not to provoke him further. If he pushed, Hisashi might actually explode. Hisashi felt helpless about both his daughters being kidnapped by Shin Uzumaki, but he couldn't say anything. I still have important matters to attend to. Oh, right, Nawaki, I can pay you the promised reward first. Hisashi said to Nawaki. To secure Nawaki's help, Hisashi had paid a hefty sum. A full 50 million ryo. This was not a small amount. Even Nawaki was surprised by Hayashi's generosity. Honestly, Hayashi's main goal was to leave a good impression on Nawaki, hoping to persuade him to stay in Hidden Mist Village. Although Nawaki was currently staying in Hidden Mist Village within the Hyuga compound, he wasn't officially part of the village. Hayashi wanted to see if he could recruit Nawaki. Nawaki didn't discern Hayashi's intentions but had his suspicions. However, he genuinely needed the money right now, so he accepted the payment. This amount was far more than he could have earned in a year doing missions on the black market. Meanwhile, Shin had returned to the land of whirlpools. Wow! Is this where you guys live, big sister? It feels much nicer than home. Hanabi looked around curiously, especially at the beautifully crafted house before her. The house had been decorated by Kushina and the others, making it look very cozy. While perhaps not as luxurious as the Hyuga compound, it was far more exquisite in its details. Hanabi, be careful. Don't fall. Hinata reminded Hanabi. Big sister, I'm not a child anymore. Hanabi turned, looking exasperatedly at Hinata. Though young, she was already quite capable. Hanabi's talent for training was excellent. Hinata shook her head slightly. No matter how old Hanabi grew, she would always be her little sister in Hinata's eyes. Naturally, Hinata felt the need to care for and remind her. Chapter 337, The popular little Hanabi so adorable. Is this your little sister, Hinata? She's really cute, just like you were when you were little. Kushina cooed, holding Hanabi and pinching her cheeks. Tsunade, sitting beside Kushina, also couldn't resist pinching Hanabi's cheeks. Though, honestly, Tsunade would rather be pinching Shin's face. Ugh, I regret coming. Hanabi thought miserably. They were going to pinch her cheeks off. Let Hanabi go. Can't you see she's uncomfortable? Shin finally rescued Hanabi, who looked up at him with grateful eyes. Shin, did Hayashi Hyuga agree to let Hanabi come over? Mikoto couldn't help but ask Shin. Well, Hayashi didn't object. Shin replied with a smile. He knew Hayashi basically wouldn't refuse anything he said. At home, father always makes me train. I'm finally free. Hanabi found a comfortable position and sprawled out on the sofa. At home, Hanabi wouldn't dare be so unrestrained. Hayashi maintained strict authority when teaching his children. Hinata had been terrified of him when she was younger. If Hanabi wants, she can stay here for a while. Big sister can play with you. Maitru Mummy offered, also quite fond of Hanabi. Hanabi, I advise you not to hang out with my. She'll lead you astray. Kushina warned Hanabi seriously. Maitru Mummy glared at Kushina. Here's a flower for you. Do you like it? At that moment, Konan presented Hanabi with a paper flower she had folded, handing it to her. Wow! Did Konan Nichan make this out of paper? Hanabi looked at the paper flower, which was as exquisite as a real one, and accepted it happily. Konan Nichan, can you teach me origami? Hanabi now wanted to learn origami from Konan. Children's interests shifted quickly. Hanabi was currently fascinated by origami. Okay. But Hanabi, you need to be patient. Konan agreed with a gentle smile. Hanabi was incredibly popular here. Mikoto, Tsunade, Kushina, Maitru Mummy, and Konan all adored her. Seeing her sister looking so happy, a smile unconsciously appeared on Hinata's face. Oh right, Tsunade, I almost forgot to tell you. I saw Nawaki in Hidden Mist Village. Shin suddenly remembered, patting his head. Since he'd seen Nawaki, he had to mention it to Tsunade. You saw Nawaki? What was he doing in Hidden Mist Village? Tsunade was actually quite concerned about Nawaki. Well, she might forget about him most of the time, but when reminded, she still cared. If Nawaki knew this, would he be happy or sad? The last time I chatted with Nawaki was a few years ago. Wasn't he running a shop then? Apparently, he went bankrupt and Hisashi Hyuga invited him to Hidden Mist Village. So, does that kid have a girlfriend yet? Tsunade was very concerned about this question. As for Nawaki losing money, Tsunade didn't really care. Even if Nawaki hit rock bottom, he definitely wouldn't starve. Money wasn't an issue. I didn't ask him, so I don't know. I'll ask next time I see him. Although Shin said he didn't know, he guessed Nawaki was likely still single. Also, I'm heading to Hidden Leaf Village in a while. Does anyone want to come with me? He was going to Hidden Leaf Village for the Chunin exams. The exams themselves weren't the main point, He primarily wanted to see if Orochimaru would still attempt the Hidden Leaf Village crush plan. Not interested. I think staying home is more comfortable. Tsunade felt lounging at home with Sumsake was far too comfortable. Having lived a lazy life for too long, Tsunade had evolved into a true salted fish. I'm not interested either. Mikoto shook her head at Shin. In the end, only Kushina was interested. She wanted to go with Shin to Hidden Leaf Village and see what the current Chunin exams were like. Several nations joining forces for a grand Chunin exam. Just thinking about it seemed interesting. Kushina's interest was piqued. She decided she had to go see. Back when Shin and the others took the exams, it wasn't such a large-scale event. Besides the proctors, no one paid much attention. The overall strength of ninja seemed lower now, yet they created more elaborate spectacles. After staying in the land of whirlpools for 10 days, Shin and his group departed for Hidden Leaf Village. Accompanying him were Kushina, Hinata, Karen, and little Hanabi. During these 10 days in the land of whirlpools, Hanabi had put on quite a bit of weight, looking even more adorable and lively than before. Hidden Leaf Village. That's where the Hyuga clan used to be, right? Hanabi asked with curiosity in her eyes. Hanabi hadn't been born when the Hyuga clan defected from Hidden Leaf Village, so the village was completely unfamiliar to her. Big sister, what's Hidden Leaf Village like? Hanabi asked Hinata. Hinata fell into thought. It had been so long ago, and she was young back then. She had forgotten most of it. I only remember Hidden Leaf Village being very prosperous. I don't remember much else. I heard Hidden Leaf Village is the wealthiest among the 5 great villages, and also the strongest. I wonder what it's like. Karen added, her eyes also filled with anticipation for the unseen Hidden Leaf Village. Hidden Leaf Village is alright. In terms of prosperity, no other village can compare. You'll see for yourselves when we get there. Kushina told the curious Karen and Hanabi. Not long after, Shin and his group arrived at the main gate of Hidden Leaf Village. Coincidentally, Nawaki and his team had just arrived as well. Nawaki and Hisashi were the team leaders, followed by several teams of Hidden Mist Village ninja, including Hisashi's son, Neji Hyuga. Because Hisashi hadn't died, Neji naturally didn't harbor resentment towards the Hyuga main family. Furthermore, Neji didn't have the caged bird seal on his forehead now, he was considered part of the main family. Didn't expect us to arrive at the same time. Shin said with a smile. They hadn't coordinated their arrival times, it was pure coincidence. Sigh. Back in Hidden Leaf Village again. Nawaki looked up at the village gate, his eyes filled with complex emotions. He, who once dreamed of becoming Hokage, never imagined he would end up as a missing ninja of Hidden Leaf Village. Life truly was unpredictable. In fact, if Shin hadn't altered the plot, Nawaki wouldn't even have had the chance to become a missing ninja. According to the original storyline, Nawaki's grave mound would be several feet high by now. Chapter 338, I specialize in bullying little girls. Hisashi Hyuga went to handle the registration process for entering Hidden Leaf Village. Ninja from other villages naturally needed to register, especially outside of the Chunin exams period. Normally, foreign ninja entering Hidden Leaf Village would be treated as spies and potentially arrested. Upon entering Hidden Leaf Village, they were surprisingly greeted personally by Hiruzen Sarutobi. Seeing Hisashi Hyuga, Hiruzen's expression was complex. Hisashi was once his subordinate, and the Hyuga clan had defected from Hidden Leaf Village. Facing him now felt awkward for Hiruzen. Shin and Nawaki weren't present. Meanwhile, Shin was currently exploring Hidden Leaf Village's streets with the curious Karen and Hanabi. Wah! Hanabi's mouth practically watered at the sight of the street food stalls. She quickly tugged Shin's sleeve and pointed at a takoyaki stand. I want that. If you want it, go buy it yourself. But I don't have any money. Hanabi looked at Shin pitifully. Shin smiled warmly, crouched down, and ruffled Hanabi's hair. No problem. If you don't have money, you can just pawn yourself off. A cute girl like you should be worth a few coins. Hanabi quickly backed away from Shin, tightly gripping her older sister Hinata's hand. Big sister, did you hear that? He wants me to sell me off. He is a big meanie. That's right, Hanabi. He is a big meanie. Kushina added, laughing heartily. Shin flicked Kushina's forehead, then walked over to the takoyaki stand and ordered a portion for everyone. It's not as good as Mikoto's, but it has its own flavor. By the way, why did you want takoyaki? Shin asked, looking down at Hanabi, who was trying not to cry from the heat but refused to spit it out. After finally swallowing, Hanabi gasped for air and told Shin. It's my first time eating it. I was curious. Hanabi hadn't eaten takoyaki at home, and Mikoto hadn't made any during her stay in the land of whirlpools. Shin looked at Hanabi incredulously. Hidden Mist Village's takoyaki was even more famous than Hidden Leaf Village's. How had she never tried it? So delicious. I want more. Hanabi snatched the takoyaki from Shin's hand and stuck her tongue out at him. Hanabi, don't be rude. Hinata gently reprimanded her sister. I know. Anyway, the big meanie who likes to bully me won't care. Hanabi grinned. Without Hayashi around, Hanabi felt much more unrestrained. The big meanie you're talking about. Is that me? Shin asked, his face darkening as he looked at Hanabi. And no. Hanabi lied, her heart pounding. Hanabi, run quickly. Kushina warned Hanabi. If she didn't run now, Shin would catch her and give her a thorough handling. But it was too late. Shin lifted Hanabi up. She wore an expression like she was about to cry. Shin, I know you're a good person. Can you let me go? Hanabi pleaded in a sweet, childish voice. Hey. Hanabi, you're mistaken. I'm not a good person. I'm a villain. The kind who specializes in bullying little girls. Shin said with a malicious grin. I won't do it again. You said that last time too. And what happened? Shin pinched Hanabi's cheek, then temporarily let her go. Looks like there's some excitement up ahead. Karen tugged Shin's hand and pointed forward. What excitement? Just some kids fighting. Kushina said with a dismissive pout. It was indeed children fighting, or rather, about to fight. Among them were Naruto Uzumaki and Sasuke Uchiha. Let's go check it out. Shin smiled, taking Karen's hand with one hand and Hinata's with the other, walking towards the commotion. Why aren't you holding my hand? Hanabi pouted, then looked at Kushina. Don't look at me. Wipe the grease off your hands first. Kushina said, dodging Hanabi's oily hands. Damn it. Kushina-nichan, do you hate me too? Hanabi angrily pulled a tissue from her pocket, wiped her hands, and trotted after them. Wait for me. Don't leave me behind. Hanabi caught up to Shin and the others, breathing a sigh of relief. Didn't know you were such a scaredy cat. Don't you usually pretend to be brave? Kushina teased Hanabi. I was afraid you'd leave me behind. Hanabi pouted. You bastard. What kind of bully picks on little kids? Naruto Uzumaki yelled angrily at a figure with face paint and a sand village forehead protector. He had just attacked Konohamaru, but Sasuke Uchiha had intervened, saving Konohamaru with a well-aimed rock. Ha! Relying on numbers, Hidden Leaf Village? Kankuro looked around contemptuously at the gathering crowd. What did you say? Naruto, angered, impulsively moved to attack. You idiot. Don't cause trouble. Sakura punched Naruto on the head, stopping him from fighting Kankuro. Naruto grumbled in frustration. Interesting. The gourd boy isn't here. Shin observed the scene with amusement. Not only was Gaara absent, but Temari wasn't there either. Only Kankuro was present. Just you wait. Kankuro, surprisingly, calmed himself down without anyone needing to intervene and didn't escalate the fight. He wasn't stupid, he knew he was in Hidden Leaf Village and couldn't act too recklessly. Damn it. Who was that guy? He doesn't look like a Hidden Leaf Village ninja. Sakura muttered angrily as Kankuro laughed. Too bad they didn't fight. I was looking forward to it. Shin shook his head, watching Kankuro leave after delivering his threat. Just some kids. Even if they fought, it wouldn't be much of a show. Kushina yawned, expressing her boredom. Actually, I wasn't here to watch them fight. I wanted to say hello to the little tanuki, but it seems he's not here. Little tanuki? Kushina looked at Shin, puzzled. Who's the little tanuki? The one-tail. Chapter 339, Careful not to turn yourself into a little fatty. The plot's changed. Shin muttered to himself, stroking his chin. Temari and Gaara, who should have been here, were absent. Oh well, plot changes didn't matter much. Regardless of how things unfolded, it wouldn't affect Shin. Besides, the plot had already deviated significantly. Hey, Sakura, what are you staring at? Naruto Uzumaki, momentarily forgetting his annoyance, noticed Sakura Haruno zoning out beside him and asked with concern. At this stage, Naruto was still Sakura's loyal simp. Completely unaware that simping often leads to nothing. You're blocking my view of the handsome guy. Sakura punched Naruto away, her eyes sparkling as she gazed at Shin. Wow, someone even more handsome than Sasuke. Sakura felt like she was drooling. Hey, brat. You're still young. Don't stare at people like a pervert. Kushina glared angrily at Sakura Haruno. Ogling others was one thing. But ogling Shin? Even if she was just a little girl, Kushina still felt annoyed. Kushina-nichan, leave her to me. Karen said, rubbing her fists together eagerly. Let's not go that far. I'm not that petty. Kushina faltered, then said to Karen. Oh. Karen looked disappointed. She had also felt annoyed earlier and wanted to teach the girl a lesson. You three, come with me. Lord Hokage's orders. Just then, an Anbu ninja appeared, pointing at Naruto Uzumaki, Sasuke Uchiha, and Sakura Haruno. When leaving, the Anbu also took Konohamaru, Udon, and Mogi. Who's this guy? Why should we go with him just because he says so? Naruto grumbled, annoyed. But since the man mentioned the Hokage's orders, Naruto couldn't refuse. Sasuke, however, ignored Naruto's grumbling, glanced briefly at Shin and his group, then followed the Hidden Leaf Village Anbu ninja. Unlike the clueless Naruto, Sasuke knew more. He recognized the legendary Anbu Black Ops. Naruto shot Shin a fierce glare, then dragged Sakura away with him. Haha, that kid seems hostile towards me. Shin chuckled. Naruto was clearly showing hostility because of Sakura. Why are you laughing when someone's hostile towards you? Hanabi looked up at Shin, puzzled. Shin looked down at Hanabi expressionlessly. Have you wiped your hands clean on my clothes yet? Hanabi immediately hid behind Hinata, stuck her tongue out at Shin, then pulled out snacks and continued eating. Stop eating. You'll cry when you turn into a little fatty. Shin tapped Hanabi's small head. You used to say I was too thin. Hanabi couldn't help but retort. Yes, I did say you were too thin back then. But look at you now. Are you still thin? If you keep eating recklessly like this, you really will become a little fatty. Hearing Shin's words, Hanabi, who was about to stuff more snacks into her mouth, put them down. Though tempted, she decided to restrain herself to avoid becoming overweight. Actually, even if you became a little fatty, you'd still be an adorable little fatty. Shin comforted Hanabi. Oh? So Shin, do you like that? Kushina couldn't help but ask Shin. I don't like tanks, not even small ones. Shin stated with absolute honesty. Kushina didn't know what Shin meant by tank. But her intuition told her it definitely wasn't a compliment. Those kids the Anbu took. They must be important. Kushina changed the subject. The Anbu ninja was clearly tailing Naruto and his group. Discovering Shin had prompted the Anbu to take them away immediately. They are the Night-Tails Jinchuriki, the fourth Hokage's orphan, the Uchiha clan survivor, and Hiruzen Sarutobi's grandson. The Night-Tails Jinchuriki must be that blonde brat, right? Kushina asked Shin. Correct. His name is Naruto Uzumaki. He's the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki and also the fourth Hokage's orphan. Shin nodded to Kushina. The fourth Hokage's orphan. So that means he's Akiko Uzumaki's son? In that case, he was technically half Uzumaki. Alright, don't worry about them. Let's continue exploring. Hidden Leaf Village still has plenty of delicacies. Shin said, deliberately glancing at Hanabi to see her reaction. Hanabi's expression was conflicted. Endure. Hanabi clenched her fists. To become a great ninja, one must endure what others cannot. Father taught me this. Meanwhile, the Anbu ninja led Naruto and the others away, then released Konohamaru. You can leave now. After saying this, the masked Anbu ninja vanished using the teleportation jutsu. He just left? How weird. Naruto scratched his head. The Anbu had claimed it was the Hokage's orders and told them to follow, but then he just ran off halfway? Naruto thought they were going to see the third Hokage. Sasuke also found it strange, but since they were told to leave, he wouldn't linger. He needed to continue training. To kill that man. Even though he hadn't been home to witness the Uchiha massacre firsthand, it didn't lessen Sasuke's hatred for Itachi Uchiha. The Anbu ninja who had led them away had already arrived at the Hokage's office, reporting the earlier incident to Hiruzen Sarutobi. He was the Anbu ninja assigned to monitor the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, Naruto Uzumaki. Every Anbu ninja basically knew Shin Uzumaki by sight. That was why he had appeared and led Naruto and the others away. He feared Shin Uzumaki might harm the Jinchuriki. I understand. Continue your mission. Hiruzen waved his hand, dismissing the Anbu ninja to continue monitoring Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto Uzumaki, as the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, was too important. Hiruzen couldn't rest easy without Anbu watching him. After the Anbu left, Hiruzen fell into deep thought, his face clouded with worry. The only person who could cause him such distress was Shin Uzumaki. Chapter 340, destined to be forever alone. A few days passed, and the Hidden Leaf Village Chunin exams finally began. The first stage was the written exam. Hinata and Karen participated, teamed up with Neji Hyuga, representing Hidden Mist Village in this exam. I really don't understand the point of having Hinata and Karen participate. Kushina said, lounging lazily against Shin. With their strength, having Hinata and Karen take part in the Chunin exams was like sending wolves into a sheep pen. It wasn't just bullying, it was practically a slaughter. Karen had mastered all sealing techniques, numerous ninjutsu including S-rank ones, and was proficient in taijutsu and ganjutsu. Plus, she had the perfect sage body for seemingly endless stamina. As for Hinata, putting everything else aside, Her awakened Tenseigan alone was enough to dominate any opponent in the Chunin exams. Actually, there is a point. The Chunin exams can involve casualties. It's a chance for them to see blood, especially Hinata. Hinata had been sheltered like a flower in a greenhouse. Though powerful, Shin didn't know how much of her strength she could actually unleash in a real fight. Consider it training for Hinata. You know she is too kind-hearted, she might hesitate against enemies. More experience will be good for her. I agree with that. Hinata is indeed too kind. She's not really suited to be a ninja. Kushina nodded. Let's go out. Where are we going? Kushina asked, seeing Shin stand up and head outside. To find Nawaki. I arranged to meet him earlier. He should be waiting at the tavern now. If you don't want to come, you can stay here. Shin told Kushina, of course I'm coming with you. What if you're going to meet some other vixen? I need to keep an eye on you. Kushina immediately got up, came over to Shin, and clung to his arm. Kushina, why don't you trust me? I would never go looking for other women. Hey, how can you expect me to trust you? You have me, Mikoto, Tsunade, Conan, and Maître Umami. How can I possibly believe you? Kushina glared at him, clearly jealous. Faced with Kushina's question, Shin was speechless. He wisely chose silence. Besides, even if I trust you, I can't trust the women outside. What if some shameless hussy throws herself at you? Shin left with Kushina, and a small shadow. Heinabi Hyuga tagged along. Heinabi, seeing Shin and Kushina leaving, immediately followed, clinging to Shin's back like a koala refusing to get down. Shin had no choice but to bring her along. Arriving at the tavern, Shin found not only Nawaki but also Hisashi Hyuga, Shikaku Nara, Inoichi Yamanaka, and Choza Kimiki. Uncle Hisashi is here too? Heinabi asked, surprised to see Hisashi. Well, look who's here. Shin said, surprised to see Shikaku and the others. After asking Nawaki, Shin learned it wasn't him. Nawaki knew his status as a missing nin, inviting them wouldn't be appropriate. It was just a coincidence they ran into each other at the tavern and decided to sit together. Shin, your presence in Hidden Leaf Village is giving the third Hokage sleepless nights. Shikaku Nara said with a wry smile. Just yesterday, the third Hokage had summoned him to analyze Shin's purpose for being in Hidden Leaf Village. It couldn't be helped. Someone capable of destroying Hidden Leaf Village appearing in the village. How could Hiruzen not be extremely cautious? And based on Hiruzen's past analysis, whenever Shin Uzumaki came to Hidden Leaf Village, it usually meant trouble. His sleepless nights have nothing to do with me. Since we're all here, how about we drink until we drop? Shin suggested. Forget it. Shikaku Nara quickly waved his hands. It wasn't that he didn't want to, but Shikaku was afraid of his wife. By the way, Shin, you specifically asked me out. What's up? Nawaki looked at Shin. Yes, Shin had asked Nawaki to meet him here. Of course, there's something. I wanted to ask you a question, but I don't know if it's convenient for you. What's inconvenient? Just ask. Shin was practically his brother-in-law. Nawaki felt there was nothing to hide, he wouldn't keep secrets from Shin. I wanted to ask. Nawaki, do you have a girlfriend now? Tsunade had asked Shin about this before, so now Shin was probing. After Shin asked, Nawaki's expression instantly froze. Seeing Nawaki's incredibly stiff face, Shin already guessed the answer. Nawaki, don't tell me you still don't have a girlfriend? I had one before. But didn't my business go bankrupt? So? She laughed. Nawaki said glumly. Didn't know you were that tragic. Shin felt like he might have just reopened Nawaki's old wounds. Are you sure you're not just pretending you had a girlfriend? Kushina asked Nawaki suspiciously. And no. Nawaki's face showed a flash of panic after being exposed. Busted. Kushina had just asked casually out of suspicion, but seeing Nawaki's reaction, she knew she'd hit the mark. Wow, Nawaki, even I almost believed you just now. Ahem, isn't it embarrassing if you guys knew? Nawaki scratched his head, saying awkwardly. Do you think lying about your girlfriend running away isn't embarrassing? Inoichi Yamanaka said, suppressing his laughter. I don't think anything is more embarrassing than not having a girlfriend. Nawaki said quietly. At the same time, Nawaki felt terrible. It seemed he was the only single one here. Everyone else was married and established. Thinking about it made Nawaki feel depressed. It wasn't that Nawaki hadn't thought about finding a girlfriend, but due to his personality issues, he was always awkward around women, too thin-skinned. That's why he was still single now. Don't you want to find someone? Tsunade asked me to bring it up. The Senju clan's future depends on you. Haven't thought about it for now. I think being alone is quite comfortable. And I've gotten used to living alone. Suddenly finding someone now would be a hassle. Nawaki felt he was used to it, Whether he found a girlfriend or not didn't matter anymore. Seeing Nawaki's indifferent attitude, Shin felt he was destined to be single for life. If Tsunoda knew, she'd probably beat him senseless. Hisashi Hyuga and the others couldn't help but exchange glances. If Nawaki continued like this, he probably would be single forever. After all, Nawaki wasn't young anymore. Chapter 341, Orochimaru, a filial student. Nawaki, are you really planning to stay single forever? Shin felt it was necessary to counsel Nawaki. Yeah. At least for now, I have no plans to find a partner. Being alone is quite nice. Besides, women are just a burden. Nawaki waved his hand dismissively, looking completely beyond saving. Nawaki, what did you just say? Women are just a burden? Did you really just say that? Kushina stood up, her face grim, questioning Nawaki. Nawaki's heart skipped a beat. He had forgotten about Kushina. And she was not someone to be trifled with. Sweat poured down Nawaki's forehead as an unprecedented sense of crisis washed over him. Hisashi Hyuga, Shikakunara, and the others quickly distanced themselves from Nawaki, not wanting to get caught in the crossfire. Kushina Nichan, beat him up. Hanabi cheered, waving her little fist in support of Kushina. She also disapproved of Nawaki's statement. Though still a little girl, she would grow up to be a woman. The precocious Hanabi was quite indignant about Nawaki's words. Besides, if women were a burden, little girls must be an even bigger burden in Nawaki's eyes. I gotta go. Nawaki immediately used the teleportation jutsu and fled. Forget it, Kushina. Don't chase him. Nawaki's just an idiot who doesn't know how to talk to women. Shin stopped Kushina, who was about to pursue Nawaki, preventing him from being beaten into a pulp. Humphrey. Someone like him absolutely deserves to be single forever. And he deserves it. Kushina huffed angrily. The key is, he seems happy about it. Shin said with a slight smile, trying to placate the fuming Kushina. With Nawaki gone, the drinking continued. By midday, Shin and the others finally dispersed. Besides Shin and Kushina, everyone else had passed out, including Hanabi. Hanabi had sneakily taken a sip while Shin wasn't looking and instantly became a little drunk kitten. Let's go. Shin carried the little drunk Hanabi on his back and took Kushina's hand, leaving the intoxicated Hisashi and the others sleeping there. Shin wasn't going to bother with them. Karen and Hinata's first exam should be over by now. We should pay attention to the second exam. The Chunin exams consisted of 3 stages. The first stage eliminated most participants. The second stage, the scroll scramble in the Forest of Death, was even more brutal, weeding out the weaklings. Even those who obtained scrolls had to pass a preliminary round before the third stage, which involved one-on-one combat, eliminating the weaker contestants. The third stage, the final tournament, was a true clash of the strong, offering greater entertainment value. During this stage, Hidden Leaf Village would invite the Land of Fire daimyo and Kage from other nations to observe. It was a time for nations to showcase their strength. These geinin represented the future of their respective villages. If Hinata finds out Hanabi got drunk, will she be angry with you? Kushina asked Shin. Do you think Hinata would get angry with me? Shin countered with a smile. No. Kushina said, slightly disappointed. Honestly, she wanted to see Hinata get angry at Shin, just for the drama. Shin. Hick. Nichan. When I grow up, how about I marry you? Hanabi mumbled drunkenly, stirring restlessly on Shin's back. Wow, Shin. Not even sparing a little girl. Kushina looked at Shin with the expression one reserved for scum. Shin felt wronged. He shot a glare at Hanabi, who was already asleep on his back. Let's go. To the Forest of Death. Shin took Kushina, still carrying Hanabi, to the Forest of Death. The participants hadn't entered yet. The proctor for the second exam was Anko Mitarashi, a rather eccentric individual, similar in personality to Naruto, and also Orochimaru's student. Anko Mitarashi gave a dramatic speech, then distributed the scrolls. There were 26 teams participating in the second round, with 13 Heaven Scrolls and 13 Earth Scrolls. Only teams possessing both a Heaven and an Earth Scroll could pass the second exam. This meant at least half the teams would be eliminated. However, if some engaged in malicious competition, the elimination rate could be even higher. Shin believed everyone would try their best to obtain scrolls and eliminate rivals in this round. Shin's gaze fixed on one person. A woman wearing the forehead protector of a minor village. Hey, since when did your taste get so bad? Kushina noticed Shin staring at the woman and immediately felt annoyed, swatting his arm forcefully. Kushina thought the woman Shin was staring at looked somewhat perverse. That's Orochimaru. Or rather, Orochiheim. Shin said, his expression peculiar. Though he knew Orochimaru used reincarnation to possess female bodies, seeing it in person still felt strange, even a bit disgusting. Orochimaru? Orochimaru developed a forbidden jutsu called living corpse reincarnation. It allows him to transfer his soul into another person's body, achieving a form of immortality. The person he's currently possessing is a woman. Shin explained to Kushina. Orochimaru, is that perverted? Kushina's face showed undisguised contempt. Transferring himself into a woman's body? The thought of a man's soul in a woman's body made Kushina feel nauseous. Actually, Orochimaru developing this forbidden jutsu truly makes him a genius. He's just a bit perverted. Doesn't discriminate between genders. Shin honestly didn't know why Orochimaru chose a female vessel. Did he want to experience being a woman? Well, who knew what Orochimaru was thinking? His tastes were certainly too extreme for most people. What is Orochimaru doing here? Kushina asked Shin curiously. His goal, naturally, is to observe a new vessel. And also, to send the third Hokage off to enjoy the Pure Land. Enjoy the Pure Land? Kushina looked at Shin, speechless. So he means kill the third Hokage? Yes. These days, filial students like Orochimaru are rare. Shin said with mock emotion, clearly teasing. If there were more like him, probably no one in the world would want to be a teacher anymore. Kushina retorted. Indeed. If there were more filial students like Orochimaru, who would dare teach? And if there were more filial sons like Itachi Uchiha, perhaps some people would be too afraid to even have children. Orochimaru, disguised, frowned slightly. He sensed someone watching him. He scanned the area but found no one. Had he been discovered? Chapter 342, The Forest of Death. Shin watched Orochimaru scanning his surroundings and knew he'd sensed their observation. Orochimaru's perception is quite sharp. Kushina, looking at Orochimaru, had also noticed. Though Orochimaru hadn't pinpointed their location, he knew someone was watching him. At this point, Orochimaru is more snake than human. It's normal for animals to have keen senses. Shin commented. He truly didn't consider Orochimaru human anymore. His true form was likely a giant white serpent, similar to the white snake sage. Hinata and her team got a heaven scroll. You can see that from this distance? Kushina looked at Shin in astonishment. Is that really surprising? Shin gestured casually. I guess not. Kushina remembered Shin's eyes, a dojutsu even more advanced than the Rinnegan. Of course, Shin currently wasn't using his Naitomo Rin Tenseigan, but seeing things from afar was still effortless for him. Should we help Hinata and the others? Kushina asked Shin. Shin gave Kushina a speechless look. Hinata and Karen were already overwhelmingly strong for this exam. Help them. How were the other participants supposed to compete? Besides, they didn't need help. Shin wanted Hinata and Karen to gain experience. He wouldn't interfere. They don't need our help. Even if Orochimaru attacked them, he'd be the one getting beaten up. Hinata and Karen might lack combat experience and couldn't unleash their full power, but their strength already surpassed Kage level. Karen might struggle against Orochimaru, but Hinata had the Tenseigan. Even without experience, she could crush Orochimaru through sheer force. Besides, Orochimaru's target was Sasuke Uchiha. He wouldn't bother Hinata and her team. In fact, Shin almost hoped Orochimaru would target them. It would be good training. After all, the other participants probably weren't even capable of providing them a decent challenge. Here, hold Hanabi. Shin handed the little girl, who had fallen asleep on his back, to Kushina. Kushina took the blushing Hanabi, who still smelled faintly of alcohol. She looked quite cute. Kushina couldn't resist pinching her small cheek while she was drunk. All the participants had entered the Forest of Death. Shin and Kushina followed them in. Lived in Hidden Leaf Village for so many years, but never came here. I heard this place is dangerous. Kushina remembered her academy teacher repeatedly warning them never to enter the Forest of Death. It's gloomy. Not a great environment. Shin remarked upon entering the forest. Most dense forests were like this, with sunlight barely penetrating the canopy. Compared to some places, though, the Forest of Death wasn't that bad. There are summoning beasts living here. Kushina, if you find one you like, you could form a contract and keep it. Shin suggested. No thanks. Keep one as a pet to look at? Besides, most of them are ugly. Kushina preferred normal small animals as pets, not a summoning beast. Except for a few aesthetically pleasing ones, most summoning beasts looked bizarre. As Shin and Kushina entered the Forest of Death, Hinata and her team had already encountered enemies. It was an unknown team from a minor village. Neji Hyuga easily eliminated them before Hinata or Karen needed to act. He showed no mercy, severely injuring them all. Even killing them wouldn't matter here. Participants signed a waiver before entering the Forest of Death. Deaths here wouldn't be investigated. Well, theoretically. This was still Hidden Leaf Village's territory. If Hidden Leaf Village ninja were all wiped out, Hiruz and Saratobi would definitely be furious. A heaven scroll. Not the earth scroll we need. Neji Hyuga said after examining the scroll they obtained. It's fine. Getting a heaven scroll means we eliminated another team. Karen Uzumaki took the scroll and stored it away. She didn't trust Neji's strength. What if he lost it? Our goal now is to reach the central tower first. We can intercept other teams there. Karen didn't plan on actively hunting other teams. The forest of death was vast, finding others would be troublesome. Even with her Kagura mind's eye, Karen preferred the easier route, wait at the destination and ambush arriving teams. Hinata had no objections to Karen's plan. As for Neji Hyuga, his father had instructed him to obey Karen and Hinata. Though somewhat reluctant, Neji never disobeyed his father's orders. Shin and Kushina didn't follow Hinata's group. Shin wasn't worried they wouldn't be able to gather the scrolls. Instead, he led Kushina, following Orochimaru, who had also entered the Forest of Death. Upon entering, Orochimaru ruthlessly killed his own teammates. Then summoned countless small snakes, sending them out to locate Sasuke Uchiha's team. Finally found them. Orochimaru's eyes lit up. He headed swiftly in their direction. Meanwhile, Naruto Uzumaki and his team were being pursued by giant snakes summoned by Orochimaru. The Nine-Tails Jinchuriki is here too. Orochimaru frowned slightly. But even the Jinchuriki wouldn't stop him from achieving his goal. To lure Sasuke away from Hidden Leaf Village. Where did these giant snakes come from? Naruto Uzumaki felt fear creeping in as he faced the snake's killing intent. It wasn't just Naruto, even the usually cool Sasuke Uchiha was terrified, kneeling on the ground. Sakura had already fainted. They were just newly graduated genin. Though they had experienced the mission in the Land of Waves, they still felt fear when facing true danger. Sasuke, what are you doing? Waiting to die? Naruto yelled, seeing a giant snake lunging towards the stunned Sasuke. Naruto quickly pushed him out of the way. Saved by Naruto, Sasuke felt ashamed. He'd been paralyzed by fear. And needed Naruto, the dead last, to save him? Sasuke's pride couldn't accept it. He stabbed his own hand with a kunai, using the pain to dispel his fear. Chapter 343, Naruto and Sasuke are true love. Sasuke Uchiha activated his Wantomui Sharingan. With the Sharingan active, the attacking snakes seemed to move much slower in his eyes. He had awakened his Sharingan during the mission in the Land of Waves, not during the Uchiha massacre as in the original story. Therefore, both of Sasuke's eyes were currently symmetrical, both possessing a single Tomoe, unlike the original timeline where one might have evolved ahead of the other. Fire style, Great Fireball, the snakes were large targets, making them relatively easy to hit. Sasuke's ninjutsu wasn't wasted this time. However, the giant snakes summoned by Orochimaru were tough. Even after being hit by the ninjutsu, they weren't killed. A giant snake over 10 meters long could certainly withstand a mere fire style, Great Fireball. The main reason they weren't killed was Sasuke's own lack of strength. Orochimaru had arrived but remained hidden, observing Sasuke's battle and assessing his strength. A bit disappointing. Orochimaru was indeed somewhat disappointed by Sasuke's current level. He was stronger than the average genin, perhaps comparable to an ordinary chunin. But such strength meant nothing to Orochimaru. Compared to his older brother, Itachi Uchiha, the gap was immense. Unfortunately, Itachi was too strong, and now part of the Akatsuki. Even if Orochimaru wanted Itachi as his vessel, it was impossible. Since he couldn't target Itachi, he had to settle for Sasuke Uchiha. How can one grow stronger without pressure? Sasuke-kun, let me give you some pressure. Orochimaru emerged from his hiding spot, his cold gaze fixed on Sasuke Uchiha and Naruto Uzumaki, emanating icy killing intent. The moment Orochimaru appeared, Naruto and Sasuke froze, cold sweat breaking out on their skin under the pressure of his killing intent. This killing intent. It's even more terrifying than Zabuza's. Sasuke Uchiha gritted his teeth, barely managing to stay conscious. Though he didn't faint, Sasuke wasn't doing well. The overwhelming killing intent forced him to his knees. Bullying a few kids? Orochimaru is getting more shameless. Kushina couldn't help but comment to Shin. While Orochimaru was observing Sasuke and the others from the shadows, Shin and Kushina were observing Orochimaru. He never cared about face to begin with. Shin waved his hand dismissively. Orochimaru truly wasn't someone who cared about appearances. He only cared about benefits. Sasuke Uchiha was the vessel he currently desired. Who are you? In the critical moment, it was Naruto Uzumaki who withstood Orochimaru's killing intent, gritting his teeth and demanding Orochimaru's identity. However, Orochimaru completely ignored Naruto. His target was clear, Sasuke Uchiha. As for Naruto Uzumaki, Orochimaru had no plans for him. The Nine-Tails Jinchuriki status was troublesome. Killing him would disrupt his future plans. Sasuke Uchiha, if this is all you've got, you probably won't have a chance to avenge yourself against Itachi Uchiha. Orochimaru ignored Naruto, deliberately provoking Sasuke. Sasuke, who was about to be overwhelmed by the killing intent, suddenly looked up, his eyes fixed firmly on Orochimaru. You know that person? Orochimaru smiled with satisfaction. This kind of vessel is more interesting. He didn't need a weak container. Of course I know him. Though the people of Hidden Leaf Village call you a genius, compared to Itachi, you're nothing. Where is he? Tell me. Or I'll kill you. Rage burned away Sasuke Uchiha's rationality. He completely disregarded the power difference between them. Want to know? Then show me your strength. If you can defeat me, I don't mind telling you everything about Itachi Uchiha. Sasuke, don't go. Naruto saw Sasuke about to attack and quickly tried to stop him. Get lost. Sasuke ruthlessly kicked Naruto away, then charged towards Orochimaru. Reaching Orochimaru, Sasuke used the Leaf Whirlwind, a technique copied from Rock Lee using his Sharingan, aiming a powerful kick at Orochimaru's head. Poof! Orochimaru's head and body dissolved into mud, scattering on the ground. Sasuke, still midair, stared wide-eyed. Even an idiot would know he'd hit an earth clone. Stab! The Kusanagi blade pierced Sasuke Uchiha's abdomen, pinning him to the ground. Ugh! Ah! Sasuke let out a blood-curdling scream. Blood gushed from the wound, soaking the ground beneath him. Sasuke! Naruto roared, Nine-Tails chakra erupting from him. Seeing Sasuke in such a miserable state, Naruto couldn't hold back any longer. As for being kicked away by Sasuke earlier, Naruto didn't care about that at all. I'll kill you. Six tails suddenly burst forth from Naruto's back. Having lost his sanity, Naruto charged madly towards Orochimaru. Naruto and Sasuke truly are true love. Shin watched this scene unfold, muttering to himself. Earlier, when facing the giant snakes, Naruto had been in constant danger, almost swallowed whole and turned into dung. Even then, Naruto hadn't unleashed the Nine-Tails chakra. But now, seeing Sasuke injured, he immediately erupted with six tails. What else could it be but true love? Shin glanced at Sakura, who had fainted nearby. Although Naruto still maintained a humanoid form, his body was completely enveloped by the tailed beast cloak formed from Kurama's chakra. He emanated an evil, hateful chakra, having completely lost consciousness, acting purely on instinct. Troublesome. Orochimaru pulled the Kusanagi blade from Sasuke's body, then kicked Sasuke far away. This was to prevent Sasuke from getting caught in the crossfire. The upcoming battle wouldn't be easy, even for Orochimaru. He had to toss Sasuke aside to avoid him being killed by the aftermath. As for Sasuke's injuries, Orochimaru had controlled the blow. He wanted Sasuke to experience the helplessness of near death, but he didn't intend to kill him. After all, Sasuke Uchiha was his intended vessel. Orochimaru wouldn't kill him carelessly. In fact, he had even secretly healed Sasuke's wounds slightly just now. Orochimaru versus a partially transformed Jinchuriki. Who will win? Kushina asked Shin. Just watch and see. If I spoil it now, what's the fun? Shin wore an expression anticipating a good show. He hadn't expected this scene either. Chapter 344, Tailed Beast Naruto vs Orochimaru. That hateful chakra. It's the Nine Tails? Hiruzen Sarutobi stood up, his gaze directed towards the Forest of Death. Naruto Uzumaki, having entered a partial tailed beast state, radiated the Nine Tails' chakra so intensely that it could be felt far away, covering a vast distance. Besides, Hiruzen had been keeping an eye on the Chunin exam situation anyway. Without further thought, Hiruzen immediately headed towards the Forest of Death. He absolutely couldn't allow another Nine Tails incident. Hidden Leaf Village, in its current state, truly couldn't withstand another rampage from the Nine Tails. If it happened again, Hidden Leaf Village might fall to the bottom of the 5 great villages. While Hiruzen rushed towards the Forest of Death, Orochimaru was already clashing with the six-tailed Naruto. Naruto swiped at Orochimaru with claws formed from the Nine Tails' chakra. These claws were as sharp as divine weapons. Orochimaru quickly raised his Kusanagi blade to block. The moment they clashed, Orochimaru's expression changed. The terrifying force was more than he could handle. He was sent flying backward. After knocking Orochimaru back, the tailed beast Naruto vanished in a blur, reappearing instantly behind Orochimaru. His claws tore a hole straight through Orochimaru's abdomen. You stabbed Sasuke, I'll put a hole in you. Well, actually, the tailed beast Naruto had no consciousness, fighting purely on instinct. However, it was precisely this instinct that allowed him to easily suppress Orochimaru. Fighting purely on instinct was often more effective than conscious thought. Despite the gaping hole in his abdomen, Orochimaru didn't die. His Orochimaru-style body replacement technique came into play. Using his outer body as a substitute, his true form slithered out from the mouth of the original body. A completely unharmed Orochimaru emerged. Disgusting. I almost couldn't stop myself from attacking him. When Orochimaru used his body replacement technique, Kushina almost couldn't resist attacking the repulsive Sannin. Why are all his jutsu so gross? Kushina felt that Orochimaru's jutsu were progressively more revolting. Summoning dense swarms of snakes was bad enough. Now, this body replacement technique was even more nauseating. Though it's crude and disgusting, his substitution technique is powerful. It can save his life in critical moments. Shin commented. Orochimaru's substitution jutsu was probably the strongest of its kind, bar none. Regardless of how disgusting it was, practicality was paramount for a ninja. Ninja generally didn't care about such things. Well, except for Kushina, and Shin himself. Although Shin acknowledged the effectiveness of the body replacement technique, he had no desire to learn it. Besides, he didn't need it. Shin now pursued elegance. Such disgusting techniques? He definitely wouldn't touch them, they drew in his image. Roar. The tailed beast Naruto let out a low growl, then gathered yin and yang chakra, preparing to fire a tailed beast ball. Even in a partial tailed beast state, not fully transformed, he could still use the tailed beast ball. Summoning technique, triple Rashomon, the triple Rashomon. A summoning technique. The complete version was likely the 5-layer Rashomon, a jutsu belonging to the first Hokage, Hashirama Senju. It wasn't surprising Orochimaru knew this. After all, he had even obtained the summoning, impure world reincarnation technique. Learning the 5-layer Rashomon wasn't out of the question. Orochimaru's strength wasn't sufficient, however, so he could only summon 3 gates. The triple Rashomon was meant to block the tail beast ball. Unfortunately, Naruto's current attack power was too high. Honestly, Orochimaru would have struggled against a 4-tailed Naruto at this point, let alone a 6-tailed one. The triple Rashomon was shattered. In Hashirama Senju's hands, it easily blocked tailed beast balls. In Orochimaru's hands, it failed. He can only summon the triple Rashomon? Kushina couldn't help but scorn Orochimaru. Well, this jutsu consumes a lot of chakra. It's normal that Orochimaru can't use its full form. Shin explained. The stronger the jutsu, the more chakra it consumed. The power also varied depending on the amount of chakra used. Is he dead? Kushina asked, looking at the dust-covered area. The triple Rashomon hadn't blocked the tailed beast ball. No. Orochimaru won't be killed that easily. He has too many survival techniques. But the outcome of this battle is already decided. Orochimaru is no match. Shin knew Orochimaru still had trump cards up his sleeve, but even if he used them, he likely couldn't defeat the 6-tailed Naruto. At this stage, for Naruto Uzumaki to unleash such strong tailed beast chakra, I wonder if his body can withstand it. Shin looked at Naruto, cloaked in the tailed beast garment. Naruto currently had no consciousness. When he woke up, the damage to his body would surely be significant. But he wouldn't die, after all, he possessed Uzumaki blood. The Ninetales' power is truly immense. But once I obtain the Sharingan, I'll control it. Orochimaru looked wretchedly at the distant Naruto Uzumaki. This place is not suitable to stay long. Even if he used all his trump cards, including the 8 branches technique, Orochimaru wasn't absolutely confident he could win. Since victory wasn't assured, staying here was a waste of time. Better to leave quickly. Besides, the commotion, the tailed beast ball attack, had shaken the entire forest of death. It must have attracted Hidden Leaf Village's attention. His teacher, Hiruzen Sarutobi, was probably already on his way. Quickly approaching Sasuke Uchiha, Orochimaru bit Sasuke's neck, planting the cursed seal on him, then swiftly departed. Sasuke Uchiha had fainted earlier, but the pain from Orochimaru's bite and the cursed seal jolted him awake. Sasuke-kun, I await the day you come find me. I can give you the power for revenge. Staying in Hidden Leaf Village will lead you nowhere. After leaving these parting words, Orochimaru vanished without a trace. Revenge? Hearing those words, Sasuke felt the excruciating pain become somewhat bearable. Meanwhile, Naruto Uzumaki swayed unsteadily and collapsed to the ground, the tailed beast chakra completely dissipating. The Ninetales, residing within Naruto Uzumaki, roared in fury. So close. So close to breaking the seal. But at the critical moment, Naruto Uzumaki couldn't hold on and fainted. If the Ninetales could attack Naruto, it would definitely beat him to death. The Ninetales itself harbored immense hatred for its Jinchuriki. Especially at this time. Later, the Ninetales and Naruto would build trust and cooperate. But right now, the Ninetales wanted nothing more than to tear Naruto Uzumaki apart. Shin glanced at the unconscious Naruto Uzumaki, then his gaze shifted to Hiruzen Sarutobi, who had just arrived. Chapter 345, Karen, am I really envying a little girl? Hiruzen Sarutobi arrived at the scene, surveying the destroyed trees and the ground that looked like it had been carpet-bombed. There's definitely residual Ninetales chakra here. Thankfully, the seal didn't break. Hiruzen checked Naruto Uzumaki's seal and found it intact. Lord Hokage. Just then, Anko Mitarashi arrived. She had been tracking Orochimaru but was also a step too late. Perhaps it was for the best. In the original story, Anko encountered Orochimaru but ended up getting thoroughly beaten. Orochimaru was here, wasn't he? Hiruzen asked Anko. Anko touched the cursed seal on the back of her neck and nodded. She had been Orochimaru's student, and he had placed the cursed seal on her. A constant source of torment. Just as I thought. Orochimaru was the one fighting them earlier. Hiruzen had sensed Orochimaru's chakra signature and noticed snake scales scattered around. He was now 100% certain it was Orochimaru. Keep this quiet for now. Take care of them. If they can't continue the Chunin exams, let them withdraw. Hiruzen didn't directly force Naruto and his team to withdraw, leaving the choice to them. Then Hiruzen left. Appearing here wasn't ideal. It might raise suspicions among the other villages. If it weren't for the Ninetales' involvement, Hiruzen wouldn't have come personally. After leaving, Hiruzen immediately ordered Hidden Leaf Village's Anbu to investigate Orochimaru infiltrating the village. Knowing Orochimaru well, Hiruzen was certain he had a specific objective for coming to Hidden Leaf Village. He needed to uncover Orochimaru's motives first. That person. His name is Orochimaru? Sasuke Uchiha clutched his neck and abdomen, struggling to stand up. He hadn't known Orochimaru's name before. Now he knew, though he didn't know much about the Sannin. Let's go. Hinata and the others have already left the Forest of Death. Shin, through his senses, knew Hinata's team had already passed the second exam. They must have obtained both scrolls. She didn't take the chance to eliminate everyone else. Kushina felt that if she were participating, she would have definitely eliminated all other teams in the second round. Where's the fun in that? Looks like Karen and Hinata knew I wanted to watch the show. Shin said with a smile. Alright, truthfully, Hinata and Karen hadn't thought that far ahead. They just wanted to get out of the Forest of Death as quickly as possible. The place was crawling with insects, which both girls detested. Shin wasn't interested in the rest of the Forest of Death events. After leaving the forest, Shin found Karen and Hinata. What happened to Hanabi? Hinata asked, seeing Hanabi sleeping soundly on Shin's back, her face flushed. She snuck a sip of sake and got herself drunk. Shin explained to Hinata. Hinata nodded, deciding inwardly to give Hanabi a stern lecture when she woke up. Though shy around others, Hinata could still assert her authority as an older sister. How many scrolls did you get in total? Kushina asked Karen. 4. 2 heaven scrolls and 2 earth scrolls. Only 4? If it were me, I would have definitely snatched all the other scrolls and eliminated everyone else. Oh yeah. Why didn't I think of that? Karen smacked her forehead. She could have ended the second exam right then and there. I wonder how long it will take for the others to reach the finish line. Karen looked around. Currently, only their team had arrived at the central tower. Just as Karen finished speaking, a ninja walked in. Ibiki Morino, the proctor from the written exam. Announcement: the preliminary rounds, originally scheduled after this, will be postponed for a few days. Those who passed the Forest of Death trial may return home for now. After posting a notice, Ibiki Morino left. Why the sudden postponement? Is it related to the commotion in the Forest of Death earlier? Karen couldn't help but wonder. Perhaps. Shin thought it was highly likely. It was probably to give Naruto Uzumaki, Sasuke Uchiha, and the others time to recover. They likely hadn't given up and planned to continue the exams. But in their severely injured state, even if they passed the Forest of Death, they wouldn't pass the preliminaries. This was probably Hiruzen giving them a backdoor pass. Hiruzen still valued Sasuke Uchiha highly, expecting him to bring glory to Hidden Leaf Village. And since Sasuke was the sole survivor of the Uchiha massacre, many people were watching him closely. Failing to even reach the final round would be too embarrassing. Is that so? Then let's head back. Karen was slightly disappointed. She had been looking forward to showing off her skills in the preliminaries and earning Shin's praise. Unfortunately, it was postponed. MMPH. Hold me. A whimper escaped Hanabi as she woke up, still groggy. She struggled out of Kushina's arms and lunged towards Shin. After landing in Shin's arms, she snuggled against him affectionately. Does she? Dislike me? Kushina glared at Hanabi. So comfy. Hanabi seemed oblivious to Kushina's words, rubbing against Shin contentedly. Damn it. I feel so annoyed. Karen watched Hanabi nestled in Shin's arms, wishing she could pull Hanabi away and take her place. How could a little girl monopolize Shin like that? It should be her in his arms. As she thought this, Karen subconsciously pictured herself leaping into Shin's arms, a love-struck expression appearing on her face. Karen, are you imagining something unhealthy? Kushina nudged Karen, snapping her back to reality. And no. Karen quickly waved her hands, vehemently denying it. Karen then looked enviously at little Hanabi. If possible, Karen really wanted to trade places with Hanabi. Originally, Karen had quite liked the adorable little Hanabi, but now, jealousy made her unrecognizable. After casting another envious glance at Hanabi, Karen began plotting, should I use the transformation technique to turn into a child? Maybe then I'll get the same treatment as Hanabi. Chapter 346, Losing all sense of decorum. After the second stage in the Forest of Death concluded, there was a 3-day break before the preliminary matches for the third stage began. Hiruzen Sarutobi had postponed the preliminaries for 3 days, giving Sasuke Uchiha and Naruto Uzumaki time to recover. This delay also benefited the other teams, providing them with much-needed rest and preparation time, so no one questioned Hiruzen's decision. Out of the 26 teams that entered the Forest of Death, only 7 passed. The rest were eliminated. Each team had 3 members, totaling 21 participants. However, one person withdrew. Kabuto Yakushi. This was Shin's first time seeing Kabuto Yakushi. He was quite a capable individual. Though seemingly insignificant early on, he became a major player later in the story. Kabuto was a spy planted by Orochimaru. A super spy. Karen, Hinata, good luck. Kushina cheered, giving them a thumbs up. Big sister, you have to win. I'll be watching. Hanabi waved at Hinata. Hanabi, aren't you going to cheer for me too? Karen asked Hanabi, feeling a bit left out. No way. What if you end up fighting big sister? Hanabi huffed. Though Karen had been nice to her, Hanabi naturally supported her own sister more. Besides, for some reason, Karen seemed a bit resentful towards her lately. Just then, the matches began. The proctor was Hayate Gakko, looking as sickly as ever. The first match was Sasuke Uchiha versus Yoro Akido. Yoro, seemingly a Hidden Leaf Village ninja, was actually another one of Orochimaru's spies. Shin wondered just how many spies Orochimaru had planted in Hidden Leaf Village. If the entire village turned out to be his spies, that would be quite the spectacle. Of course, that was just a thought. Orochimaru likely only had a few spies, planting too many would be impossible. Hidden Leaf Village's intelligence network wasn't completely incompetent. Sasuke Uchiha, despite his injuries, seemed to have a protagonist halo. After falling behind, he used the newly developed Lion combo to defeat Yoro. Naruto Uzumaki's opponent was Kiba in Yuzuka, just like in the original story. And just like in the original, Naruto defeated Kiba. With a fart. Truly the #1 unpredictable ninja. Kiba would likely never forget this humiliating defeat, it would be a stain on his record he'd never want to talk about. Karen's opponent was Temari. Using sealing jutsu, adamantine sealing chains, Karen bound Temari like a mummy, eliminating her without mercy. Is this what you call training for Karen and Hinata? Kushina glanced sideways at Shin. Ahem, the opponents are too weak. Shin felt slightly embarrassed under Kushina's gaze. Honestly, Temari wasn't weak. Though officially a Genin, her strength surpassed that level. How could I be defeated? Temari thought, unwilling to accept the outcome. She hadn't even had a chance to attack before being instantly bound by the chains. It was humiliating. Temari never imagined she'd lose in the preliminaries. Hinata's opponent was also the same as in the original story. Neji Hyuga. However, this time, Neji Hyuga conceded immediately. Hisashi Hyuga, watching, breathed a sigh of relief. He hadn't wanted Neji to fight Hinata out of pride. After all, Hinata was his older brother's daughter, and Shin Uzumaki was very protective of her. Winning would bring trouble, losing would bring shame. Conceding was the best option. Wow, Hinata, you had it easy. Karen looked enviously at Hinata. And you didn't? Shin couldn't help but retort. Defeating her opponent with a single jutsu. Wasn't that easy? Of course not. Shin-sama, I feel so tired. I can barely stand. Karen deliberately leaned against Shin, pretending to stumble. After Shin steadied her, she secretly flashed victory signs behind his back. Karen, you're becoming increasingly shameless. Shin said, pinching Karen's small cheek. Hinata watched Karen, her face flushed red. Karen is so bold. Hinata felt she could never compare to Karen in that regard. Shin-sama, can I lean on you for a little longer? I used too much chakra just now, I feel weak. Karen continued her act, fabricating excuses without batting an eye. With her constitution, how much chakra could a single sealing jutsu possibly consume? Alright, lean on me. Shin naturally wouldn't push Karen away, he wasn't that dense. However, every action has consequences. Now, he had to endure Kushina's murderous glare. Karen, well played. Ring me right in front of my eyes. Kushina gritted her teeth, clenching her fists. Faced with Kushina's threat, Karen chose to close her eyes and pretend she couldn't hear. Let death come. Leaning against Shin-sama felt too comfortable. Even if she got beaten up later, she accepted it. Karen felt she had achieved enlightenment. Not long after, the preliminary matches concluded. Out of the 20 participants, only 9 advanced to the final round. Why 9 instead of 10? Because, just like in the original story, Sakura Haruno and Ino Yamanaka knocked each other out simultaneously, resulting in a double elimination. There would be a break before the final round of the third stage. This time was for the participants to prepare, and also for Hidden Leaf Village to handle logistics. Unlike the previous stages, the final round would involve inviting the daimyo to watch the exams, as well as the Kazekage from Hidden Sand Village and the Mizukage from Hidden Mist Village. Yes, Hiruzen Sarutobi also planned to invite Hayashi Hyuga. Whether Hayashi would come, Hiruzen didn't know. Inviting Hayashi was Hiruzen's attempt to discuss forming an alliance. In this world, there were no permanent enemies. Hayashi Hyuga was once a Hidden Leaf Village missing ninja, an enemy. But now, Hayashi's identity had flipped. He was the Mizukage of Hidden Mist Village. Hiruzen planned to resolve their past conflict and form an alliance with Hidden Mist Village. After all, Hidden Leaf Village was currently too weak. Hiruzen knew he needed to gather allies. Shin and his group didn't stay in Hidden Leaf Village. The final stage wouldn't begin for nearly a month. Shin decided to return to the Land of Whirlpools and come back when the exams started. Besides, if Shin stayed away for too long, Tsunade, Mikoto, and the others still in the Land of Whirlpools might storm Hidden Leaf Village looking for him. Back in the Land of Whirlpools, little Hanabi clung to Shin, demanding he teach her the gentle fist. Shin initially tried to pawn Hanabi off on Hinata, letting Hinata teach her. But after less than half a day, Hanabi was back, clinging to Shin and threatening to tell Hayashi Hyuga he bullied her if he didn't teach her. Would Shin be afraid of her tattling? He decisively pushed Hanabi back onto Hinata. Shin had no interest in teaching this inattentive little girl. Chapter 347, Naruto Uzumaki. As a whetstone time flew, and the final round of the Chunin exams began. Only 8 participants remained out of the original 9. Dasuke Nuda, one of Orochimaru's subordinates, had challenged Gaara to prove himself but was killed effortlessly. Dasu challenged Gaara because Gaara was Sasuke Uchiha's opponent in the final round. Knowing Orochimaru's focus on Sasuke, Dasu, feeling resentful, planned to defeat Sasuke himself in front of everyone. To do that, he first needed to eliminate Gaara. Unfortunately, his strength was insufficient. It was a suicide mission. Orochimaru's subordinates were loyal, but most weren't very bright. Well, Hidden Leaf Village certainly put on a grand show. Shin observed the meticulously decorated venue. It was Hidden Leaf Village's face to the world. Naturally, they'd put effort into the presentation. Hiruzen Sarutobi was present. It was the final round. The Hokage had to appear. Besides Hiruzen, Orochimaru, disguised as Raza, the 4th Kazekage, was also there. His disguise was excellent. Shin hadn't recognized him initially. Hayashi Hyuga was also present, sitting beside Hiruzen. Orochimaru glanced at Hayashi, frowning slightly. Hopefully, he won't interfere with his plan. Hayashi, we meet again. Hiruzen masked his complex feelings with a welcoming smile, as if genuinely happy to see Hayashi. Old fox, Hayashi cursed inwardly. I hear your daughter is also participating in these Chunin exams? Yes. My daughter also needs some training. Hayashi replied coolly. Oh? Isn't the Mizukage worried his daughter might encounter danger? Orochimaru, disguised as the Kazekage, spoke with a barbed tone, clearly irritating Hayashi. I'm not concerned. My daughter has been trained by Shin Uzumaki. I trust she can handle these exams. Perhaps the 4th Kazekage should worry more about his own son. Hayashi sneered back at Orochimaru. Orochimaru's eyes narrowed slightly. He discreetly observed Hinata Hyuga. Trained by Shin Uzumaki? Looks like I need to avoid his daughter during my plan. He didn't want to incur Shin Uzumaki's wrath. Hiruzen Sarutobi's face darkened slightly. Shin Uzumaki is still in Hidden Leaf Village? The thought made Hiruzen uneasy. Where is Sasuke Uchiha? Why isn't he here? I'm quite interested in this Uchiha genius. Orochimaru glanced at Hiruzen. Besides executing the Hidden Leaf Village Crush plan, his main focus during these exams was Sasuke Uchiha. When the match begins, Sasuke Uchiha will naturally arrive. Hiruzen smiled faintly. Honestly, Hiruzen didn't know what Sasuke was up to either. Originally, Sasuke's match against Gaara was supposed to be the first. Since Sasuke hadn't arrived, Hiruzen had to change the schedule temporarily. Perhaps it's for the best. Making Sasuke and Gaara's match the final event would create more anticipation. Many people, including the daimyo, had come specifically to see Sasuke, the famous Uchiha survivor and genius. The first match was Hinata vs Naruto Uzumaki. Originally, it should have been Naruto vs Neji Hyuga, but the plot had diverged. Hinata, good luck. Shin patted Hinata's shoulder. I won't disappoint Shin. Hinata said with unwavering determination. She wouldn't let him down. Watching Hinata walk down to the arena, Shin smiled faintly. You're not planning to cause trouble, are you? Kushina asked Shin, noticing his expression. Knowing Shin well, she could usually guess his intentions just by looking at him. I just want to add a little difficulty for Hinata. Without a challenge, it wouldn't be proper training. You're setting Hinata up? Using Naruto Uzumaki, the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki? Kushina was speechless. But now she likely understood Shin's plan. It's not setting her up, I'm giving Hinata a real fight. Shin wasn't underestimating Kurama, but against the Tenseigan, even the Nine-Tails didn't have much of an advantage. What? My opponent is just a weak girl? They're totally looking down on me. Naruto complained upon seeing Hinata. Suddenly, Naruto, who had been complaining, froze, his expression turning completely blank. Inside Naruto Uzumaki's inner world, where the Nine-Tails was sealed, Shin's figure appeared. Nine-Tails, time to wake up. Seeing the sleeping giant fox, Shin released a sliver of his chakra, startling Kurama awake instantly. Nine-Tails, could you do me a favor? Shin Sharingan spun, the Tomoe spinning slowly, seemingly capable of devouring everything. Sharingan? Kurama roared furiously, slamming against the bars of its cage. Silence. Shin glared, and Kurama instantly became docile. 3 Tomoe appeared in its eyes. Shin had controlled it. Whether you refuse or agree, you have no choice. With that, Shin's consciousness departed, ignoring the lingering chakra imprint left by Minato no Mikeiji. Knowing Kurama wouldn't cooperate, Shin had simply controlled it directly. Now, let's wait for a good show. Shin watched Naruto Uzumaki, whose body was now beginning to emanate Nine-Tails chakra. Naruto Uzumaki, the child of prophecy, was being used by Shin as a whetstone for Hinata. Will she really be okay? Kushina asked Shin. Of course, she won't be in danger. Trust Hinata's strength. Besides, with you and me here, could Hinata truly be in danger? Shin said with a smile. True. Kushina felt she had worried unnecessarily. The Nine-Tails? She could crush it with one hand. And it wasn't even the full Nine-Tails, just a fraction of its power. Even less cause for concern. Naruto Uzumaki, what's wrong with you? The proctor, Genma Shiranui, noticed something amiss with Naruto and immediately questioned him. Up in the stands, Hiruzen Saratobi, who had been wearing a fate smile, abruptly stood up. Hiashi Hyuga also stood up simultaneously. Nine-Tails chakra. Hiruzen could sense it. Hiashi, having encountered it before, also recognized the ominous energy. Chapter 348, The Hidden Leaf Village Crush begins. How did this happen? Why is the Nine-Tails rampaging? Hiruzen Saratobi frowned deeply, clenching his fists. He almost couldn't resist intervening personally. This was supposed to be the Chunin exams. Countless villagers were watching, even the Land of Fire daimyo himself. If something went wrong here, the consequences would be dire. Third Hokage, looks like you have some trouble? Orochimaru, sensing the familiar, hateful chakra, smiled faintly, his eyes filled with anticipation. He'd heard about Hinata Hyuga training with Shin Uzumaki. He was curious about her strength, but then Orochimaru noticed something strange. Hinata Hyuga's eyes weren't the pure white Byakugan, they were a faint azure blue. Mizukage, your daughter's eyes. They're not right. Orochimaru looked towards Hiashi Hyuga. That is the evolution of the Byakugan. Hiashi replied proudly. Though he didn't know the full capabilities of the evolved Tenseigan, Shin Uzumaki had told him it was the Byakugan's next stage. As for its power, Hiashi didn't know, but now he could confidently say their Byakugan was not inferior to the Sharingan. That was the source of his pride. The Byakugan evolved? The Byakugan can evolve? Hiruzen and Orochimaru simultaneously turned to Hiashi. Hiruzen momentarily forgot about the rampaging Nine-Tails, utterly shocked by this revelation. This was the first time he'd heard the Byakugan could evolve. Indeed. If the Sharingan can evolve, why can't our Byakugan? Hayashi stated proudly. Many like to compare the Sharingan and Byakugan. When the Mangekyo Sharingan was brought into the comparison, the Byakugan was often deemed inferior. But now, Hayashi could proudly tell the world that the Hyuga clan's Byakugan could also evolve. Though he didn't know the strength of the evolved Tenseigan, it surely wouldn't be weak, considering the Byakugan itself was already powerful. Compared to the 3 Tomoe Sharingan, the Byakugan wasn't necessarily weaker, it just couldn't match the Mangekyo Sharingan. Hinata Hyuga's evolution. That's Shin Uzumaki's doing, isn't it? Though Orochimaru phrased it as a question, he was already certain. He didn't believe the Hyuga clan possessed the ability to evolve the Byakugan. Otherwise, why hadn't news of it spread after all these years? Hayashi's expression stiffened slightly. He shot the 4th Kazekage a displeased glance. Is he mocking the Hyuga clan's incompetence? Though not stated directly, that was clearly the implication. Hayashi couldn't recall ever doing anything to this Kazekage. Why was he deliberately provoking him? Did he not care about the relationship between their villages? Hayashi didn't know the man before him wasn't the real Raza. But Orochimaru, who had killed Raza and taken his place. Raza had met a tragic end, just like the 3rd Kazekage. Both dying ignominiously, and both being Kazekage of Hidden Sand Village. Boom. The Nine-Tails chakra erupted fully. Hiruzen pushed aside thoughts of the Byakugan's evolution. The priority now was evacuating the people here. Though the Nine-Tails hadn't fully emerged, there were signs it might. If the Nine-Tails truly broke free, this place would become the most brutal battlefield imaginable. Damn it. This power. Gar frowned, looking at Naruto Uzumaki leaking tailed beast chakra. The one tail within him was also rampaging. Is he like me? Gar's expression turned complex. Gar's childhood had been tragic, shaping his twisted personality. In truth, Naruto Uzumaki had suffered even more than Gaara, yet he hadn't become as dark and extreme. Before Naruto's art of negotiation brainwashing, Gar's personality was indeed quite warped. Guy, quickly. Don't move, 3rd Hokage. Just as Hiruzen was about to order Might Guy to evacuate the crowd, Orochimaru's kunai pressed against Hiruzen's neck. Hiruzen was stunned. 4th Kazekage, what is the meaning of this? Sensei. You've gotten old. You didn't even recognize me. Orochimaru ripped off his disguise. Originally, Orochimaru hadn't planned to strike now, but circumstances had changed, he had to act. He had already sent out signals earlier. Hidden Sound Village Ninja and their Hidden Sand Village collaborators would soon make their move. Orochimaru was ruthless. Killing their Kazekage and still using them as pawns. Orochimaru, what are you planning? Hiruzen asked, his expression complex. No wonder he felt a sense of familiarity from this Kazekage earlier, it was Orochimaru in disguise. Isn't it obvious now? As Orochimaru spoke, several giant snakes, tens of meters long, began wreaking havoc within Hidden Leaf Village. Hidden Sound Village Ninja launched their attack. Demonic Illusion, Temple of Nirvana Technique, Kabuto Yakushi cast a Ganjutsu, putting the spectators to sleep. Being able to cast such a large-scale Ganjutsu demonstrated Kabuto's strength. Kabuto was actually quite strong, likely comparable to Kakashi Hatake. And Kakashi, Hidden Leaf Village's infamous copy ninja, could hold his own against most opponents. This showed Kabuto's prowess. Among Orochimaru's subordinates, Kabuto was likely the strongest. He had forfeited the preliminary rounds earlier, fearing he couldn't control his strength and would expose himself. Of course. Strong was relative. In Shin's eyes, Kabuto was still a weakling. From Shin's perspective, anyone below 6 paths level was a weakling. Mizukage, this is a personal grudge between me and Sensei. Are you planning to get involved? Orochimaru asked Hayashi Hyuga, holding Hiruzen hostage. Since it's the Hokage's personal grudge, I won't interfere. Hayashi Hyuga immediately stepped aside and moved far away. He wouldn't get involved in this matter. What happened in Hidden Leaf Village had nothing to do with him. He was now the Mizukage of Hidden Mist Village, completely separate from Hidden Leaf Village. In fact, they even had friction. Not choosing to kick Hidden Leaf Village while it was down was already considered conscientious. He certainly wouldn't help Hiruzen Sarutobi. Orochimaru started his plan this early. Shin watched Orochimaru, frowning slightly. Hinata's match hadn't even begun yet. But it didn't matter. Even if Orochimaru's plan started ahead of schedule, it wouldn't stop the fight between Hinata and Naruto Uzumaki. Chapter 349, Hinata's Tenseigan Chakra Mode. Orochimaru held Hiruzen Sarutobi hostage. The Hidden Leaf Village Jonin, like Kakashi and Guy, didn't dare attempt a rescue. They feared any rash move might provoke Orochimaru into killing Hiruzen. A distinct possibility. Orochimaru, do you truly have no feelings left for Hidden Leaf Village? Hiruzen looked at Orochimaru with sorrow. Was letting him go back then a mistake? Sensei, what's the point of discussing this now? Orochimaru replied calmly. Did Hiruzen think a few words could make him stop? That was wishful thinking. Having come this far, Orochimaru wouldn't back down. His resolve wasn't so easily swayed. 4 violet flames formation, the sound 4 appeared, using the barrier ninjutsu, 4 violet flames formation, to seal off the area. This is the battlefield for us, teacher and student. Do you like it, sensei? Orochimaru extended his long tongue, licking the kunai held against Hiruzen's neck. That creep. Shin, I'm going to kill him. Kushina, watching the situation unfold, was disgusted. The distance between Orochimaru and Hiruzen was already close. Orochimaru's actions looked disturbingly intimate. Kushina felt nauseated. Go ahead. Shin felt he needed to wash his eyes too. At that moment, Hinata was also bewildered. How did Hidden Leaf Village suddenly descend into chaos? Even the proctor left. Hinata didn't know if she should still fight. However, she didn't have much time to hesitate. Naruto Uzumaki, now with 6 tails manifested, charged towards her. Gentle fist art, 8 trigrams vacuum palm. Seeing the rapidly approaching tailed beast Naruto, Hinata panicked slightly but instinctively reacted, blasting him away. The palm strike, launched from a distance, sent Naruto flying far back, embedding him into a wall so deeply he couldn't be easily removed. Though sent flying, Naruto wasn't injured. The tailed beast cloak's defense was formidable, especially in his current 6-tailed state. Hinata, fight seriously. Let me see your strength. Shin yelled to Hinata. Hinata paused for a moment upon hearing Shin, then nodded with determination. He is here too. Orochimaru couldn't help but glance towards Shin's location. He hadn't known Shin was in Hidden Leaf Village before. Focused entirely on his Hidden Leaf Village crush plan, Orochimaru hadn't paid attention to other matters. Though aware of Shin's presence now, Orochimaru wasn't panicked. He knew Shin Uzumaki wouldn't help Hiruzen Sarutobi. Gentle fist art, 8 trigrams 128 bombs, Hinata assumed the gentle fist stance and attacked the tailed beast Naruto. Her fists rained down continuously on Naruto, but they were all blocked by the tailed beast cloak. Her attacks couldn't penetrate its defense. As for the gentle fist's pressure point strikes, they were also useless, blocked by the tailed beast cloak. The tailed beast cloak was practically an S-rank defensive jutsu, at the very least. Of course, this depended on the tailed beast. Against other tailed beasts, Hinata's gentle fist could definitely break through their defenses. This level of tailed beast transformation poses no threat. Shin observed Hinata, then controlled the 9 tails within Naruto Uzumaki, causing 2 more tails to erupt. Almost a complete tailed beast transformation. The sheer chakra pressure alone caused the small stones on the ground to shatter. Hinata's expression turned serious. The light in her Tenseigan intensified as she began to draw upon its power. Almighty push, the tailed beast Naruto, charging towards Hinata, was hit by the repulsive force and sent flying again. With Hinata at the center, everything around her was blasted away by the repulsive force. This terrifying power was devastating. The training ground, which had served as their battle arena, was completely reduced to ruins. Hinata is so strong. Karen couldn't help but exclaim. Actually, if you fought Naruto Uzumaki, it would be even easier than for Hinata. Shin told Karen. It wasn't that Karen was stronger than Hinata. Hinata possessed the Tenseigan, Karen definitely couldn't match her in terms of raw power. However, sealing jutsu were extremely effective against tailed beasts. Karen could directly seal the tailed beast back, and it would be effortless for her. Tenseigan Chakra Mode, activate. Hinata activated her Tenseigan Chakra Mode. Emerald green chakra enveloped her body, surrounding her like flowing robes, with similarly colored prayer beads orbiting around her. Tenseigan Chakra Mode already? Does she really need to go all out? Shin rubbed his nose. However, Hinata's performance satisfied Shin greatly. Even without entering Tenseigan Chakra Mode, she could easily handle the current Naruto Uzumaki. But using Tenseigan Chakra Mode was the safer approach. Sometimes, caution was the top priority. Hinata did well in this regard. It's all thanks to my teaching, Shin couldn't help but take credit. After Hinata activated Tenseigan Chakra Mode, the immense chakra pressure immobilized the tailed beast Naruto. Even Orochimaru and Hiruzen Sarutobi turned their attention towards her. Orochimaru was so focused that he didn't even notice Hiruzen taking the opportunity to escape. This immense pressure. It surpasses even pains. Is this the power brought by the evolution of the Byakugan? Orochimaru speculated internally. He couldn't think of any other reason. Could the evolved Byakugan be even stronger than the Sharingan? Orochimaru wasn't sure. Perhaps only Shin Uzumaki could answer his questions, but Orochimaru doubted Shin would bother. With the enhancement of Tenseigan Chakra mode, Hinata's current strength likely surpassed Pain's. However, the outcome of the real fight was uncertain. Hinata lacked combat experience. Relying solely on power scaling, Hinata clearly couldn't crush Pain yet. Though Hinata possessed the perfect sage body thanks to Shin's life contract, her chakra reserves were still insufficient. The stronger the jutsu, the greater the chakra consumption. Hinata was still young, her chakra wasn't enough to use the Tenseigan limitlessly. Gentle Fist Art, 8 trigram 64 bombs, still using the Gentle Fist, but now in her Tenseigan chakra mode, the power Hinata unleashed was incomparable to before. Whatever tailed beast cloak Naruto had, it couldn't withstand the Gentle Fist attack this time. Naruto's tailed beast cloak was shattered, and his chakra points were completely sealed. Neither his own refined chakra nor the Nine Tails chakra could be used temporarily. Chapter 350, Reanimating the previous Kage. Naruto Uzumaki lay unconscious. No one paid him any mind, besides those caught in the Genjutsu, everyone's attention was focused on Hinata. Unbelievable power. Orochimaru stared, slightly dazed. He felt that even if he used all his trump cards, he wouldn't be a match for the 8-tailed Naruto earlier. Yet Hinata Hyuga, a 12-year-old girl, had defeated him effortlessly. Honestly, Orochimaru felt a twinge of jealousy towards Hinata's power. Alas. Shin sighed and shook his head. What's wrong? Are you still not satisfied? Kushina looked at Shin, unable to resist asking. When I was Hinata's age, I wasn't nearly as strong as her. I think Hinata did great. Kushina was right. At 12, she hadn't been as strong as the current Hinata. After all, Hinata had awakened the Tenseigan. With the Tenseigan's immense destructive power, if Hinata went all out, even Hashirama Senju would have to take her seriously. It's not that Hinata isn't strong. I know better than anyone how powerful the Tenseigan is. But this battle, it really didn't do much for Hinata. Shin explained to Kushina. Hinata hadn't even needed to use powerful techniques like the Golden Will Reincarnation Explosion to easily defeat the 8-tailed Naruto. Could the 8-tailed Naruto even beat Hiruzen Sarutobi? Probably not. Unfortunately, the tailed beast Naruto lacked intelligence, fighting purely on instinct and brute force. Being easily defeated was expected. Perhaps the 8-tailed Naruto was stronger than Hiruzen Sarutobi, but if Hinata fought Hiruzen, she definitely wouldn't win so easily. Intelligence is crucial in battle. Fighting an unintelligent opponent is too easy. Hinata hadn't even had a chance to fully utilize her power before defeating her opponent. Just then, Hinata returned to Shin's side, her Tenseigan chakra mode deactivated. She asked shyly. Shin, how did I do? Excellent. Hinata is the best. Shin picked Hinata up and said with a smile. Kushina watched Shin, dumbfounded. Weren't you just shaking your head and sighing, looking dissatisfied? Hinata blushed crimson, steam practically rising from her head due to embarrassment. However, she managed to stay conscious this time. It showed Hinata had changed considerably. Though, fainting from shyness was admittedly one of her cute points. Shin put Hinata down. If he held her any longer, she might actually faint. Shin-sama, I want some encouragement too. Karen exclaimed, lunging towards Shin. Just as she was about to reach him, Kushina grabbed her, stopping her midair. Karen, what do you think you're doing? Karen looked glumly at Kushina, then lowered her head like a wilted eggplant. Let's watch Orochimaru and Hiruzen Sarutobi's master-student battle. Shin reminded Kushina and the others. Orochimaru and Hiruzen were already fighting. Orochimaru's Kusanagi blade clashed against Hiruzen's adamantine staff, creating a shower of sparks. Honestly, the hardness of Inma transformed into the adamantine staff was impressive, able to withstand clashes with a legendary weapon like the Kusanagi blade without damage. Sensei, you're still strong for your age. Orochimaru remarked coolly, looking at Hiruzen after being knocked back by his staff. Although Hiruzen was short and thin, his strength was surprisingly immense. Orochimaru, I will correct my past mistake today. Hiruzen's expression was grave, a hint of sorrow deep within his eyes. Back then, he had momentarily softened, holding back when Orochimaru defected instead of trying his utmost to stop him. Now, Orochimaru had brought disaster upon Hidden Leaf Village. The thought filled Hiruzen with immense pain. Orochimaru, this time I absolutely will not forgive you. Seeing the devastation in Hidden Leaf Village through the 4 violet flames formation barrier, Hiruzen grew increasingly furious. Sensei, let me show you something interesting next. I hope you'll be satisfied with the opponents I've brought for you. Orochimaru bit his finger, then quickly formed hand seals, performing the summoning, Impure World Reincarnation technique. Instantly, one coffin rose from the ground, followed by a second, Then a third coffin marked with the number 4. Seeing Orochimaru's hand seals and the rising coffins, Hiruzen knew what jutsu it was and immediately tried to stop him. Hidden Shadow Snake Hands, Orochimaru seized the opportunity, attacking Hiruzen and successfully summoning all 3 coffins. Unlike the original story, where Hiruzen managed to stop 1 coffin, this time Hiruzen had to face 3 reanimated individuals. The coffins opened. A man wearing red Warring States period armor emerged. The first Hokage, Hashirama Senju. Then came Hashirama's younger brother, the second Hokage, Tobirama Senju. As for the third, who didn't appear in the original summoning, it was the fourth Kazekage, Raza, whom Orochimaru had killed. Damn you, Orochimaru. Raza emerged, glaring hatefully at Orochimaru. Just as Raza was about to attack, Orochimaru unhesitatingly plunged a kunai etched with a restraining seal into the back of Raza's head, completely erasing his consciousness. He had no choice. Otherwise, Raza would have attacked him. Though this would reduce Raza's combat effectiveness, it was necessary. Even a controlled, weakened Raza should be enough to handle the aging Hiruzen. Is this Hidden Leaf Village? Hashirama Senju observed the surroundings. Big brother, pay attention to the situation. Someone is clearly hostile towards Hidden Leaf Village. Tobirama Senju's eyes flashed sharply. Was it you who used the summoning, Impure World Reincarnation technique? Tobirama's icy gaze fixed on Orochimaru. Sigh. Tobirama, I told you long ago not to research such jutsu that tamper with souls. Hashirama looked at his younger brother, shaking his head slightly. He had advised Tobirama against it back then, such techniques shouldn't exist. Tobirama fell silent. Honestly, he had researched summoning, Impure World Reincarnation to leave Hidden Leaf Village a trump card. If faced with an overwhelmingly powerful enemy, they could use summoning, Impure World Reincarnation to summon previous Hokage to defend the village. He never expected it would eventually be used against Hidden Leaf Village. First. Sensei. Hiruzen's lips trembled as he addressed Tobirama and Hashirama. Seeing them appear, Hiruzen knew he was doomed. The legendary god of shinobi, and his own teacher, Tobirama Senju. Now they were his enemies. Sensei, are you happy with this grand gift I prepared for you? Orochimaru asked with a smile, his grin somewhat unrestrained. Chapter 351, Jiraiya returns. Orochimaru actually learned summoning, Impure World Reincarnation. Kushina remarked with surprise. She knew how difficult the technique was to learn. Shin possessed Hidden Leaf Village's Scroll of Seals, which contained all of the village's forbidden jutsu, including summoning, Impure World Reincarnation. Kushina had even tried to learn it once but failed. Even with Shin's personal instruction later, she couldn't master it. For Kushina, summoning, Impure World Reincarnation seemed even harder than the Flying Thunder God technique. Don't underestimate Orochimaru. He's very capable. Shin told Kushina. Orochimaru was indeed brilliant. Most people could study summoning, Impure World Reincarnation their entire lives and never learn it. He truly deserved the title of genius. However, Orochimaru's summoning, Impure World Reincarnation is still somewhat crude. The reanimated first Hokage isn't that strong. Shin looked at Hashirama Senju, sensing his power. The reanimated Hashirama could only utilize a fraction of his original strength, probably less than a tenth. First and second Hokage, I must apologize for the offense. Orochimaru held kunai etched with restraining seals and plunged them into the backs of Hashirama and Tobirama Senju's heads. Given their loyalty to Hidden Leaf Village, Orochimaru had to control them completely to ensure they would fight Hiruzen wholeheartedly. Orochimaru, I never thought you would become like this. Hiruzen said sorrowfully. His most prized student had become his enemy. Sensei, do you really have time to talk right now? Orochimaru sneered coldly. Did Hiruzen think a few words could stop him? That was wishful thinking. Having come this far, Orochimaru wouldn't back down. His determination couldn't be swayed by Hiruzen's pleas. Hashirama's wood style, Tobirama's water style, and Raza's gold dust techniques simultaneously assaulted Hiruzen. Now, Hiruzen faced 4 opponents. 3 reanimated Kage and Orochimaru himself. Hiruzen Sarutobi is finished. He's dead meat. Absolutely no hope. Shin watched the scene unfold. Hiruzen probably wouldn't even get the chance to use the Reaper Death Seal this time. Yeah, I agree. Hiruzen is definitely done for. Kushina concurred. But what I find most amusing are the expressions on the Hidden Sand Village ninjas' faces. Shin glanced towards the Hidden Sand Village ninja, who had ceased fighting. They stared dumbfounded at the reanimated 4th Kazekage, Raza. How could this be? Baki, the elite Jonin from Hidden Sand Village, stared wide-eyed. Their Kazekage was dead? Killed by Orochimaru, their supposed ally. Captain Baki, What do we do now? Some Hidden Sand Village ninja asked Baki, who was now their acting commander. Baki fell silent. Continue fighting Hidden Leaf Village? He knew instantly that Hidden Sand Village had been used by Orochimaru. And Orochimaru had killed their Kazekage, even reanimating him to desecrate his soul. Unforgivable. Help Hidden Leaf Village. Attack the Hidden Sound Village ninja. Baki decisively ordered. The Hidden Sand Village ninja immediately stopped fighting Hidden Leaf Village and turned their attacks towards the Hidden Sound Village ninja. The Hidden Leaf Village ninja, understanding the situation, tacitly stopped engaging the Hidden Sand Village ninja as well. Kakashi Hatake arrived with Sasuke, having just returned from Sasuke's special training. He was stunned by the chaotic scene. Guy, what's going on here? Kakashi stopped Might Guy and asked. Kakashi, you're finally back. No time for questions. Help us deal with Hidden Sound Village. And hurry, figure out a way to save Lord Hokage. Guy urged anxiously. Many Hidden Leaf Village ninja had tried to rescue Hiruzen but were blocked by the four violet flames formation. Touching the barrier meant being incinerated, they dared not approach. Kakashi surveyed the surroundings, quickly grasping the situation. Seeing Orochimaru fighting Lord Hokage, he knew Orochimaru was behind this. The first and second Hokage. What's going on? He had many questions, but the urgent situation left no time for answers. Naruto? Just then, Kakashi saw the unconscious Naruto and immediately rushed over to check on him. Though Kakashi often seemed to favor Sasuke, he actually cared deeply for Naruto, the son of his late teacher. Sasuke, go eliminate the Hidden Sound Village ninja and the rampaging giant snakes. Kakashi instructed Sasuke after picking up Naruto. HN. Sasuke glanced complexly at Naruto, then nodded curtly. Though he had fainted later, Sasuke had witnessed the beginning of Naruto's tailed beast transformation and his battle against Orochimaru. Naruto, the dead last he'd always looked down upon, possessed such power? Sasuke couldn't help but feel a pang of jealousy. It was normal to feel envious when someone you previously scorned surpassed you. Cough cough. Kakashi-sensei? Naruto opened his eyes at that moment, looking at Kakashi holding him. Hinata, that girl, had been kind, her attacks weren't severe, allowing Naruto to wake up now. Naruto, are you alright? Kakashi's face showed relief, though hidden behind his mask. I'm okay. Kakashi-sensei, what happened? Naruto couldn't help but ask. Naruto, just rest for now. Don't worry about it. Kakashi carried Naruto to a safe place, then set him down and joined the fight against the Hidden Sound Village ninja. Hidden Sound Village was just a minor village. They had initially caused chaos because Hidden Sand Village was assisting them, and they caught Hidden Leaf Village off guard. Now that Hidden Leaf Village had reacted and Hidden Sand Village had switched sides, the Hidden Sound Village ninja were quickly subdued. The giant snakes summoned by Orochimaru were also slain by giant toads summoned by Jiraiya. Yes, Jiraiya had returned. He hadn't been far from Hidden Leaf Village, having recently tutored Naruto. After leaving Hidden Leaf Village, Jiraiya felt uneasy and decided to return. Jiraiya arrived at the site of Orochimaru and Hiruzen's battle, his expression grim as he watched the fight unfold. Orochimaru, plus the three reanimated Kage, were pushing Hiruzen back relentlessly. Hiruzen was already injured. Orochimaru. Are you really going to kill the old man? Jiraiya clenched his fists, roaring angrily. Lord Jiraiya, how can we get inside to help Lord Hokage? Kakashi quickly asked Jiraiya. I don't know. Jiraiya shook his head with a sigh. He knew about the four violet flames formation. Although the casters, the sound four, weren't strong, Jiraiya couldn't break through the barrier. The four violet flames formation was a simplified version of the four red yang formation, which could withstand a tailed beast bomb from the 10 tails. Even the simplified version was incredibly durable. Chapter 352, The Undisputed Strongest in the Shinobi World. Jiraiya, Kakashi, and the others stared helplessly at the four violet flames formation. Without space-time ninjutsu, there was no way to get inside. Hiruzen Sarutobi is about to die, and Denzo doesn't even bother showing up. He really is heartless. Shin walked over, followed by Kushina, Hinata, and Karen. Jiraiya immediately turned upon hearing Shin's voice. His eyes lit up, then quickly dimmed again. Shin, you can definitely save the old man, right? And why would I? Shin asked Jiraiya flatly. What do you want? As long as you save the third Hokage, I'll agree to any condition. Jiraiya's expression was incredibly earnest, as if he truly meant it. Don't be ridiculous. If I asked for the entire village of Hidden Leaf Village, could you agree? Even if you could you make others agree? Shin asked Jiraiya mockingly. Jiraiya fell silent. He couldn't agree to that. And as Shin said, even if he did, it would be meaningless. Not even Hiruzen Sarutobi himself had the authority to sell Hidden Leaf Village, let alone Jiraiya. You. Since you can save Grandpa Hokage, why won't you help? Naruto Uzumaki angrily demanded of Shin. Shin glanced sideways at Naruto Uzumaki, then said to Hinata. Hinata, you were too soft on him. Otherwise, he wouldn't still be hopping around like this. Currently, Naruto's chakra was still sealed, and his body was fatigued from the Nine-Tails chakra outburst, but otherwise, he was mostly fine. Yes, Shin. Next time, I'll definitely use my full strength. Hinata nodded seriously. Who do you think you are, brat? You're also an Uzumaki, which means you're part of the Uzumaki clan. Shin-sama is the head of the Uzumaki clan. You have no right to question him. Karen stared sharply at Naruto Uzumaki. Shin was completely baffled. He exchanged a look with Kushina. Since when did he become the Uzumaki clan head? Shin, how come I didn't know you became the Uzumaki clan head? Kushina asked, blinking. I didn't know either. Shin shrugged at Kushina, then looked at Karen. I just think Shin-sama is very suitable to be the head of our Uzumaki clan. Karen admitted that she had bestowed the title upon him herself. How many people are even left in the Uzumaki clan? And you're talking about a clan head? Shin lightly flicked Karen's small forehead. Is this Shin-sama's affection for me? I'm so happy. Karen touched the spot Shin had flicked, her face turning as red as a cooked shrimp. Karen, when did you become such a pervert? Kushina couldn't help but cover her face. Kakashi-sensei, are they related to Naruto? Sakura whispered to Kakashi. Sakura had strong resistance to Genjutsu and hadn't been knocked out by Kabuto's mass illusion earlier. Kakashi glanced at Naruto, then said with a complicated expression. Not directly related. But there's a connection. After all, Naruto's mother was an Uzumaki. Can he save the Hokage? Is he really strong? Sasuke looked up and asked Kakashi. Of course, he's strong. The legendary strongest in the shinobi world. No one knows the true extent of his power. Kakashi sighed. He had heard many legends about Shin Uzumaki, but he didn't know the specifics of his strength. But he looks so young, Kakashi thought, even younger than me. It's like time stopped for him. Didn't you say before that the Hokage was the strongest? Sasuke pointed out, calling Kakashi out. During the Land of Waves mission, Kakashi had told them the third Hokage was the strongest ninja, the strongest Hokage. Well, Kakashi felt awkward. Back then, being a Hidden Leaf Village ninja, he naturally had to hype up the Hokage. There might have been some exaggeration back then. But this person is known as the Reaper of the Shinobi world, feared by all the great villages. He's the undisputed strongest in the Shinobi world. Is he stronger than him? Sasuke's eyes suddenly flashed with killing intent and boundless hatred. Seeing Sasuke's hateful expression, Kakashi raised an eyebrow. He really wanted to dispel the hatred in Sasuke's heart, but he knew it was unlikely. Itachi is indeed a genius. I don't know his strength, nor do I know Shin Uzumaki's strength, so I can't compare them. But Shin Uzumaki is universally acknowledged as the strongest in the shinobi world. Kakashi answered Sasuke's question. So his name is Shin Uzumaki. Sakura couldn't help but sneak a few more glances at Shin. She couldn't help it, she was drawn to attractive people. She remembered seeing him before the Chunin exams started. Back then, she had been completely mesmerized. Lord Hokage is about to fall. What do we do now? Might Guy asked anxiously. Hearing Guy's urgent voice, Jiraiya and the others immediately looked over. Hiruzen Sarutobi was indeed in a perilous situation. Honestly, being able to last this long against Orochimaru and 3 reanimated Kage was already something Hiruzen could be proud of. What if the first Hokage had his full strength? Forget full strength. Even if he had his own consciousness controlling the body, he could still dominate Hiruzen Sarutobi. Shin answered Kushina's unspoken question. Hashirama Senshu, Tobi Rama Senshu, and Raza's attacks were rigid because they were being controlled by Orochimaru. Orochimaru's control clearly wasn't up to par, which was why Hiruzen had managed to hold on for so long. Perhaps Orochimaru can't bear to strike the killing blow. Shin muttered to himself. Saying Orochimaru felt absolutely nothing for Hiruzen? No one would believe that. Orochimaru definitely still had some feelings for his former teacher. Shin, even if you had grievances with the third Hokage in the past, that was long ago. Can't you just? Don't say any more, Jiraiya. Do you really think you can persuade me? Shin cut Jiraiya off directly. Shin could forget the past grievances, but he had no reason to save the third Hokage. What benefit would saving him bring? Absolutely none. Why should Shin save him? Even if he did decide to save the third Hokage, there would have to be some benefit involved. Clearly, There was none here. I have to go. Naruto Uzumaki gritted his teeth and charged towards the four violet flames formation. However, before Naruto could reach the barrier, Jiraiya grabbed him by the collar and pulled him back. Naruto, don't be reckless. Jiraiya said sternly to Naruto Uzumaki. If Naruto rushed over, he would definitely be incinerated by the four violet flames formation barrier. Jiraiya couldn't possibly let Naruto charge forward recklessly. Chapter 353, The Death of Hiruzen Sarutobi. Inside the four violet flames formation barrier, Hiruzen Sarutobi gasped for breath, glaring defiantly at Orochimaru. Sensei, you look tired. Don't push yourself. It's time for you to sleep. Eternally. Orochimaru, don't continue down this dark path. Turn back. Hiruzen urged, leaning heavily on his adamantine staff for support. Having come this far, you still want me to turn back? Sensei, are you really that naive? Orochimaru sneered contemptuously. Orochimaru wouldn't stop, and Hiruzen's words couldn't sway his resolve. Actually, Sensei, I'm doing this for your own good. Instead of dying of old age, dying in battle is more honorable. Your opponents today are worthy of granting you that honor. Orochimaru said solemnly to Hiruzen. Orochimaru's tone was serious. Dying at Orochimaru's hands, facing the reanimated first and second Hokage and the fourth Kazekage, would be an honorable death for Hiruzen. His reputation wouldn't be tarnished. Hiruzen remained silent. If one can live, who would choose death? You're trying to kill me, and you have the nerve to say it's for my own good? He never expected Orochimaru to be so heartless. Hiruzen had truly treated Orochimaru like his own son. Aside from not supporting him for the fourth Hokage position, Hiruzen had never wronged Orochimaru. And the reason he hadn't supported Orochimaru was because he knew Orochimaru wasn't suitable for the role. Even back then, Hiruzen had sensed Orochimaru straying onto a dark path, though he hadn't wanted to believe it at the time. Later, even when Orochimaru's transgressions were exposed, Hiruzen hadn't used his full strength, deliberately letting Orochimaru escape easily. If Hiruzen hadn't held back, Orochimaru could still have escaped, given his preparations, but it wouldn't have been so easy. He would have paid a price. Hiruzen felt he had treated Orochimaru well. Among all his students, Orochimaru had likely been his favorite. Yet, the final result was Orochimaru invading Hidden Leaf Village and trying to kill him. Orochimaru, that bastard. He has no conscience. Jiraiya roared angrily outside the barrier. Jiraiya, do you expect a cold-blooded animal to have a conscience? Instead of raging uselessly here, why don't you rush in and fight Orochimaru to the death? Shin glanced at Jiraiya and said flatly. Jiraiya fell silent. He wanted to fight Orochimaru, but he couldn't break through the four violet flames formation. One last gamble. I hope you can hold on, old man. Jiraiya glanced at Shin, knew there was no hope of getting his help. Summoning jutsu, Jiraiya bit his finger and summoned Fukasaku and Shima. These two small toads were the elders of Mount Myabaku, second only to the great toad sage Gamaru. Sages, I'm in trouble. Please help me absorb natural energy. Jiraiya requested Fukasaku and Shima. Jiraiya wanted to use Sage Mode. Perhaps in Sage Mode, he could break the four violet flames formation barrier. He had panicked earlier and forgotten about this. Hopefully, it wasn't too late. Jiraiya couldn't enter Sage Mode instantly like Shin. He needed time to absorb natural energy and fuse Senjutsu Chakra. Fortunately, the two sages could assist him, but it still required time. He hoped Hiruzen could hold on. Naruto, don't disturb him. Kakashi quickly stopped Naruto, who was about to bother Jiraiya. What time is it? Pervy Sage is closing his eyes to sleep now? Naruto complained angrily. Shin, watching Naruto, didn't understand his concern for Hiruzen. Was it simply because Hiruzen had occasionally visited him? Minato Namikaze had asked Hiruzen to take care of Naruto, but Hiruzen hadn't done a good job. Whatever the reason, it was Hiruzen's failure. Besides, if Hiruzen truly wanted to protect Naruto, would it have been difficult? The Hokage couldn't even protect one child? That was laughable. Deep down, Hiruzen probably saw Naruto as a tool too. After all, Jinchuriki were tools for their villages. Bang! Hiruzen took a kick from Tobirama Senju. The Flying Thunder God technique was unpredictable, leaving Hiruzen vulnerable. It's over, sensei. Orochimaru sneered coldly, then controlled Draza to use magnet style, gold dust to block all of Hiruzen's escape routes. The Kusanagi blade extended, instantly piercing Hiruzen's body. This time, Hiruzen didn't dodge. Orochimaru, the jutsu I taught you. Today, I take them back. Knowing survival was impossible, Hiruzen gave up struggling and prepared to take Orochimaru down with him. Those hand seals. Orochimaru's expression changed drastically upon seeing Hiruzen's hand seals. Initially, Hiruzen formed seals for the shadow clone technique, instantly creating 3 clones. But the subsequent seals made Orochimaru panic. The hand seals for the Reaper Death Seal. Orochimaru knew them, he had seen the sealing jutsu description before, though he hadn't learned it. Damn it. Stop him. Orochimaru knew he absolutely couldn't let Hiruzen complete this jutsu, otherwise, he'd be in serious trouble. Hiruzen focused solely on the hand seals. Just then, the adamantine staff suddenly transformed back into Enma, who desperately blocked Orochimaru's attack, as well as those from Hashirama and Tobirama. Even the indestructible Enma was severely injured. That damned monkey. Because Enma blocked him, Orochimaru couldn't interrupt Hiruzen. The Reaper Death Seal was activated. Die. Orochimaru roared furiously. The shadow clones performed the Reaper Death Seal, summoning the Shinigami, who swung its blade, reaping the souls of Hashirama Senshu, Tobirama Senshu, and Raza. With their souls reaped, the summoning, impure world reincarnation could no longer be maintained. Hiruzen's main body used the Reaper Death Seal as well, stripping the souls from Orochimaru's arms, rendering them useless. At the last moment, Orochimaru's Kusanagi blade fatally pierced Hiruzen. Otherwise, Orochimaru's entire soul would have been reaped by the Shinigami. After Hiruzen died, the summoned Shinigami vanished. Orochimaru looked down at Hiruzen's fallen body, his eyes filled with crazed hatred. He used the Reaper Death Seal. With shadow clones? Can shadow clones even do that? Kushina found it incredible. Although I killed Hamura Otsutsuki, the Shinigami can still be used. Shin explained. When he killed Hamura, Shin hadn't destroyed the Shinigami itself. However, Hiruzen's shadow clones being able to use the Reaper Death Seal. That was indeed a bug, practically cheating. Regardless, Hiruzen Sarutobi was finally dead. Chapter 354, Orochimaru escapes. By the time Jiraiya entered Sage Mode, Hiruzen Sarutobi was already dead. He was a step too late. Damn you, Orochimaru. Jiraiya roared angrily, charging towards Orochimaru. At this moment, all emotional ties were severed. Orochimaru had committed an unforgivable crime. Retreat. Orochimaru yelled to the Sound 4. Didn't expect that idiot Jiraiya to master Sage Mode. Orochimaru couldn't afford to be surprised now. The situation was dire. If he didn't leave, facing the Hidden Leaf Village ninja and the enraged Jiraiya, he would surely die. His arms were crippled, he couldn't even move a finger. How could he fight Jiraiya? Furthermore, his battle with Hiruzen had depleted most of his chakra. Orochimaru noticed Shin Uzumaki nearby, but he didn't ask for help. He had to rely on himself, relying on others was useless. The Sound 4. Kadomaru, Dayuya, Tsuken and Yukon, and Jirobo. They were quite skilled, elites trained by Orochimaru, serving as his bodyguards. With Orochimaru's arms crippled and unable to perform ninjutsu, his escape relied entirely on the Sound 4. I wonder if Orochimaru can escape? Shin watched with curiosity. This wasn't like the original story. Jiraiya was personally pursuing Orochimaru now. I think it'll be difficult for Orochimaru to escape. Kushina commented. Orochimaru was clearly weakened, lacking combat strength. The Sound 4 alone couldn't possibly hold back Jiraiya in Sage Mode. Not necessarily. Who knows if Jiraiya will go easy on Orochimaru in the end. Although Jiraiya currently looked determined to kill Orochimaru and avenge the third Hokage, who knew if he would hold back when the time came. This trip to Hidden Leaf Village has been entertaining. Shin said with a light chuckle. Entertaining? Is that all this is to you? A show? Naruto, hearing Shin's words, was furious. Yes. Unlike you all, I'm an outsider. To me, this is a great show. Shin replied flatly, glancing at the enraged Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto, be quiet. Kakashi tapped Naruto's head, telling him to shut up and avoid provoking Shin Uzumaki. Even though Shin's words made Kakashi uncomfortable, he knew they couldn't afford to offend Shin. Orochimaru alone had caused such chaos in Hidden Leaf Village, what about Shin Uzumaki? Kakashi didn't even want to imagine. Let's go check on Lord Hokage. Kakashi said gravely to Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto fell silent, tears welling in his eyes as he walked towards the third Hokage's body. Meanwhile, Orochimaru, pursued by Jiraiya, managed to escape. However, the Sound 4 were killed by Jiraiya. More accurately, Orochimaru abandoned the Sound 4, using them to stall Jiraiya while Kabuto Yakushi helped him escape. Orochimaru was truly cold-blooded and ruthless, sacrificing anyone necessary, even the carefully trained Sound 4. To Orochimaru, the Sound 4 had served their purpose. Saving his life. However, the events unfolded completely unexpectedly for Orochimaru. In his original plan, he wouldn't have ended up in such a pathetic state. But he hadn't anticipated Hiruzen's Reaper Death Seal, nor Jiraiya's timely return. Jiraiya stood with a dark expression, not pursuing further. He couldn't catch Orochimaru now. Orochimaru had disappeared. Orochimaru escaped after all. Jiraiya held back a bit. Shen shook his head slightly. If Jiraiya had gone all out, even if Orochimaru survived, he would have been severely injured. Perhaps Jiraiya still held on to their past bond and let him go. Denzo never showed up from beginning to end. I don't believe for a second that he didn't know what was happening. Kushina muttered.